TikTok, time to rock. Rocking in the new year with D Wood. Actually, was planning on rocking in the new year. Me and AP were planning to have we were planning on having this weekend, since it's New Year's, planning on having a year in review of all the stuff that's happened, all the Dawa blunders, all the sorry, I got distracted. It's funny, the people call themselves Woodies. I was thinking, like, what should be the nickname for people who join us regularly, and some have suggested the Woodies. It was funny because the first thing that popped into my head when I thought, well, what should be the name, was woodpeckers. That's just too dumb. But when your last name is Wood, you grow up and you hear, hey, Woody Woodpecker, all the time. So, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Anywho, we were planning this weekend. Actually, we never quite finalized plans, but we definitely wanted to have a year in review. And then we were thinking of, like on AP's channel, have a year in review. And then on my channel, have, what's coming up in 2024. But that got derailed. Y'all know why that got derailed? Anyone know? Taylor. Taylor calls it the Peckerwoods. Hey, shout out to all the Peckerwoods out there. It doesn't sound right. We got Dizzles Nizzles. I didn't realize people were filling up with the nicknames here. Dizzles Nizzles. I'm a Woodette. Let me see what the other suggestions are. But Peckerwoods, the Wooders, the Dizzles. Yeah, it's funny because I don't have what is this? Wait. Oh, hang on. Hang on, everyone. We might actually have something going on here. One second. It's weird. I'm just not used to going live by myself, and then I feel like everything is new, even though I'm using the same stuff I normally use. It's just normally I would say, hey, AP, check out everyone and start talking to everyone real quick while I look this up. So this might actually be cool. Let me see. Anywho, so we were planning on going live this weekend, and then everyone know why AP couldn't make it. There we go. AP, atheist, gets sick. There are some other theories. The Shia has AP. Sorry, I'm still looking at the names. Dizzleities. It's funny. All I came up with was the woodpeckers, but everyone's coming up the hardwoods. What is this? Who cares about Israel or Palestine? Well, yeah, and that's kind of wanted to do this topic because I really would like to. There's so much going on in the world that people don't know about, but these things keep popping up where people deny stuff, and I don't know, we feel like we have to respond to it. But anyway, it's like, there's massive persecutions going all over the place. If you wanted to call anything a genocide that's going on in the world right now, you've got the Nigerians, the Christians in Nigeria. You've got the Armenians. So you've got people who where you could actually make claims about genocide. No one pays any attention to that because it doesn't have anything to do with Jews. And so, but because everyone's talking about what's happening between Israel and Gaza, we end up talking about that in response to everything that everyone else is saying. And so we've seen people repeatedly declaring that Hamas was not targeting any civilians. That didn't happen, that the babies weren't killed, that women weren't raped, and so on. And so, you just have to keep responding to it because you've got an online mob that runs around saying these things never ever happened and so on, and these guys weren't targeting civilians and so on, and you just got to respond to the stuff. Just 1 second. Let me send an email real quick. So just have to keep responding. Anyway, there's definitely this article. I'm sure some of you have definitely read it, from the New York Times, and wanted to get that. It just sucks because you don't want to end 2023. You don't want to end the year on such a negative note. But it's kind of what the year's been like. So better to get this out of the way and then look forward to a new year where things might not suck as bad. But yes, we have AP is sick. Ooh. You know, it's funny if I did a morning show and called it the Morning Woods. See, but people have perverted minds. They would think that I mean something perverted by calling the show the Morning Woods. All right, so what happened with AP? Let's go ahead and bring this up. Apostate Prophets 1 day ago says, I have COVID. I've been in bed since Thursday's live stream. While the symptoms are pretty paralyzing, I felt significantly worse when I had the flu. None of this compares to pneumonia, though, which was the best of them all. AP3, Allah 0. Would be funny if I died now. That would be pretty hilarious to lots of jihadis out there. But if you want to know why AP got sick, if anyone doesn't know why AP got sick, we know exactly why AP got sick, ladies and gentlemen. And here it is. Ali Dawa, you can check the date. This is authentic. On August 24th of 2020, Ali Dawa said, every Muslim, wait, I should say this like Ali Dawa. Every Muslim should say Ameen and retweet this, yeah? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in it cause a disease or an illness to inflict those individuals who have desecrated the Quran, yeah? May it be so severe that they never forget till the day they die and in the hereafter. Ameen! Remember this tweet. Well, I did remember the tweet, Ali Dawa. And here we are, just 3.5 years later. The curse of Allah finally kicked into AP, and he's in bed with COVID. He's in bed with COVID. And so Ali Dawa's prayers were answered. Allah's never quite on time, but and never as severe as the Dawa clowns want. But yep, he comes through. And actually came through earlier because I had COVID as well. My reaction to COVID was kind of similar to AP's. So he says, I've been in bed since Thursday's live stream. While the symptoms are pretty paralyzing, I felt significantly worse when I had the flu. None of this compares to pneumonia, though, which was the best of them all. That was kind of my reaction. I had COVID twice, and both times it felt like a cold. And not even a bad cold, like a mild cold. The only difference was it just didn't go away. So it lasted like, I forget what it was, like a month or 6 weeks or something like that. Like both times. It was like a low-grade cold that just wouldn't go away at all. And that's what happened. And so Ebenezer here is putting it all together. Allah cursed AP through the power of the prayers of dais everywhere. So anyway, we're going to, again, I didn't really want to end this year on a sad note, but at the same time, I did want to get through this so that maybe we can focus on some other stuff in the new year. And also thought, since AP is sick, well, maybe I'll just hang out with family and stuff. But we're having a big get-together on the 1st. I don't know why that's the thing, where we have New Year's on the 1st. I guess that's New Year's. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe we have a special guest here. What is this? Oh, my goodness.
Hey, what's up?
I counted you out, dude. I totally counted you out.
I did too. I
I
did
didn't even
too.
I didn't even ask you to join me live because you were posting that you had COVID.
I know, but I was laying there. I spent days just sleeping, and then I just got a notification on my phone of you going live, and I thought, wait a minute, you can't go live without me. So
That's funny.
I forced myself to get out and to go live with you.
Now I can change the title to AP shocks everyone by being alive.
I'm heavily medicated, so I'm kind of unaware of the pain that I'm in. Um, but yeah, I guess I'll
Yeah.
be here for a bit.
Well, it's actually no, it's actually good to see you. I didn't want to bother you with anything while you're sick because I don't like people bothering me when I'm sick. And so you
Yeah,
can just hack and cough and stuff while I read the article. But yeah, I'm sure you've read the article, right?
yeah, I did. Hello, everyone. By the way,
Yeah. Hi everyone, and we're good to see
hello,
AP
hello.
alive. So, ladies and gentlemen, look at AP right now. This is what the curse of Allah looks like. When the Dawa prayers go up, Allah's curses come down. that's, that's the Dawa version. So you don't know this. AP Christians have a saying when the praises go up, the blessings come down.
Yeah, yeah,
Nope, it's different. It's different in Dawa.
that's good. That's good.
And so, anyway, good to see you here. As sick and horrible and awful as things are. So, what do you think? Are you under Allah's curse?
I am pretty much, but it's all right. I mean, it's honestly, Allah's curse isn't quite as bad as you would think.
Yeah, it's pretty mild. It was pretty mild
Yes,
for me too.
no biggie. It's no big deal. Yeah, I mean, I've seen worse things. Definitely seen worse things. I just
You,
feel a little bit off, a little bit confused. I don't know. Like right now, when you were talking to me, I didn't realize that I'm actually live. I think with COVID, there is this weird thing that I didn't experience before, and this is also like my confirmation that this is the first time that I actually have COVID. That it gave me these weird cognitive uh,
you see?
issues. Like in the morning, I woke up and I was completely out of it, well, like completely disoriented. I couldn't even walk. I was very confused. I'm in and out and all that, and I don't even know what you just asked me. So, yeah.
Well, it's funny because I'm not even sick, and I don't remember what I just asked you. So
That's good.
welcome to my world. It is. Oh, I asked you if this is the curse of Allah or something like that. But
Oh
yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
funny.
it is.
You know, it's interesting because Ali Dawa posted that years ago. May Allah curse them with diseases that they will never forget. Yeah, and it's like, well, I mean, I guess I'm not going to forget having COVID, but I don't
Yeah,
know. It's kind of not. It's not. Not the worst thing. Like I remember
yeah,
being like you said, I remember being way sicker from like the flu and stuff. In fact,
yeah.
I remember being way sicker from colds, like where it felt like my head was going to explode and stuff like that. Um, but yeah,
Oh, I have to say the headaches that I had with COVID here, I think I never had a worse persistent headache.
hmm.
Um, the headache, and it's also very different in where it's located. Like it started up here, and then it slowly like creeps to the sides. Like over the last 2 days, the sides of my head to my teeth and my jaw, I've been in incredible pain. And then this morning, my neck suddenly, like everything around here hurts, and I never experienced quite something like that. The thing is, I never had a fever. I just had brutal chills, which is basically fever just in a different form. Um, but yeah. I definitely felt worse on the flu. I do feel very bedridden though. I couldn't. I can barely get up and walk around unless I take heavy medication. This is the curse of Allah, definitely.
Well, that's
Uh,
why I didn't even bother asking you to join me, but here we are. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
if you ever have to bolt, go ahead and bolt. I just wanted to read this article while it's still extremely relevant.
Do that. We
Might
need
have been.
to. We should also. I think I'm getting slightly better. I feel much better today than yesterday. So we might want to go live and also review the whole thing, like the documentary, the interview with Mia Shem and stuff like that, and review that stuff live as well.
Yeah,
There we go.
as soon as you're up to it, that's all good. And wow, what a crappy end to a crappy year. AP hacking and gagging, uh, and ready to pass out in front of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah.
Wow, 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 wow. You know what's weird about Ali Dawa's thing here? Let me pull this back up.
You're sick.
So
You're
we've got Ali
sick.
Dawa.
Yeah.
May Allah cause a disease or an illness to inflict those individuals who have desecrated the Quran. Like, why wasn't the prayer, may Allah cause a disease or an illness to inflict those who cause people to desecrate the Quran? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Is your COVID allowing you to understand what I just said?
I think so. Yeah.
Like, if you recall, if everyone recalls back then, why was anyone desecrating the Quran back then? It was because of these guys. It was because of Ali
Yes.
Dawa and Muhammad Hijab. And with Ali Dawa, I mean, openly saying on YouTube that once he rises to power with with the Ummah, that the apostate prophet and others like him are going to be executed. You ripped up a Quran. Hijab was launching a campaign going after the wives of critics of Islam, and I took a bite out of the Quran in response. And you did have people like Sajid who were pointing out, calling these guys low hikmah, because he's pointing out, guys, they're acting like this because of you. They're not doing this. They're not just doing this randomly. They're doing this in response to you guys crossing all these lines. And then, oh Allah, when you curse these guys with diseases, yeah. Why? Because they's responding to us. Oh, well, why not curse you? Anyway, that's the world we live in, where they get to do whatever they want, and Allah is going to bless their work. And when we respond, then Allah will curse us 3.5 years later with COVID.
Those were fun times, though. It's like we were in a little war, escalation upon escalation. It was like the world wars.
Yeah,
Basic.
it was. Yeah, that whole thing back then was like, all right, how far are you guys willing to go? Because we're willing to go pretty far here. We're willing to step on a few toes right now. How far are you guys ready to go? And then
Eventually they stopped.
Eventually they stopped, yeah. Because they were getting blasted from other Muslims going, hey, what are you doing? It's like when Andrew Tate was like, oh, look at this video about this woman ripping up a Bible. Let's see someone try that with the Quran. And then like everyone does it, post pictures, and then he has to take it down. So yeah, eventually they stop with the challenge. They don't realize, like, it's just a different world from 10 years ago. It's a different world from 10 years ago. All right, well, I don't want to get backed up on super chats. Also, don't know how long we'll be going, because I really don't want to keep AP too long. That's why I said you can dip out anytime you're feeling like it, but we also won't go too long unless you just get some weird burst of energy and we decide to rock it all the way to the new year. I did want to go through this. I really just wanted to go through this article.
I have breathing issues. I feel like when you ask me, I will just ignore any kind of sickness and just go on forever, but then it ends up always being a completely stupid idea, and I go against the recommendations that everyone else makes, and I should probably just leave and and leave you to it, and
no, we're totally good. It is good because we've really we've ended up with a pretty interesting community over the past several months, right? You know what I mean? So it's cool to end out the year with our, like, we've always had people who followed us in live streams and stuff, but I don't know, things just over the past several months, just we've been talking about it in live streams before this and stuff, but like coming up with our own language and our own collections of jokes and so on that no one outside of the group understands, and been getting more and more people. It was pretty normal. It's pretty normal to, get 1,000 people watching live 6 months ago. 1,000 people watching live for a really, really important topic. Really, really important, timely topic would have been normal, and all of a sudden, then we were getting 2,500, 3,000 and stuff like that for certain topics. So anyway, yep, we are, ladies and gentlemen. AP has COVID. I could be hanging out with my family, and yet AP pried himself with a crowbar out of bed drugged himself, completely doped himself up with gallons, gallons of medicine, and also we could be here with you guys for the new year, so you remember us in 2024 and don't forget about us.
I love it so much. It's like over the last months we really community really built. My channel actually had the biggest growth ever, which is very interesting because I used to post these short videos and they were much more they would reach much more many more people, but the whole live streaming that we have done um, kind of caused a huge community to build, and the channel started growing very massively, and I really appreciate that. It's very good to see, and very good to always have the very same people and the new people again and again in the chat. Very nice. It's very much appreciated. So there is something that draws you to come back here and go live and interact with everybody again and again, even when you're sick. Even when you're sick, you're sick.
It is weird
And
because yeah, I always made lots of videos because I generally prefer, like, being on my own and sitting down in front of a camera and recording a bunch of stuff. That's cool, and then I put it out there. And so, yeah, it's different just interacting with people. Even though I've been doing it for years, yeah, it's just something that seems different
yeah,
over the past several months. Like
Alhamdulillah.
like getting to know more people and so on,
Yeah,
and getting to know people's like jokes and senses of humor and stuff like that. Anyway,
there's more of a
um,
personal connection there. I'm also gonna still have a debate that's Thursday, by the way. I should probably announce that separately. But I'm gonna debate down in the Kikuchu on Thursday.
while you've
And
got COVID, you don't want to say,
yeah,
"Hey, put it off for a week so you can get over COVID."
I don't know. Right now it seems fine. I think I'll prepare everything. I'll see.
You might want to have everyone on notice, saying, "Hey, if I keep getting better, then everything's on." But if because again, I was telling people right before you jumped in, COVID just felt like a cold to me, and not even a terrible one, but it just didn't go away. Just didn't
Hmm.
go away forever. So you could be in a situation where it gets really bad, and then you get a little bit better, but then you just kind of level off with some low level sickness for a while. I don't know.
Alhamdulillah.
Yep, yep, yep. But keep your
Okay,
eyes on
okay.
that.
I'm
All
I'm,
right, all
I'm
right,
gonna,
all
I'm
right.
gonna
Enough there. See, you just came in here. I was like, was about to.
disrupting everything here.
It's so weird because it's like New Year, so I feel like we should all be excited and stuff. But the topic we're covering is like the most messed up stuff there is, and so I don't know.
Talking about rapist terrorists.
Yeah, and like some of the most messed up stuff imaginable. And yeah, sorry.
Well, Islamic terrorism, Islamic fighters is basically rapist terrorists. That's the same thing. So, not much of a
and
surprise there.
and guys, how many of you watched that in the chat? Like, I mean, how many of you read the article in the chat versus those who didn't? Let me know. Matter of fact, I should do a poll real quick. No, I'll do. Yeah, let me do a poll real quick. I'm actually interested, like how much of this is familiar to other people versus new stuff, because we're sitting here talking about how messed up this stuff is. It's like it kind of makes the point in a really weird way that like these are the guys who are on the opposite side of a fence from you, right? There's a fence between you and these guys. And what do these guys who are right across that fence from you? What do these guys do? They like mutilate and torture people to death while gang raping them. And that's what they want to do. And the entire world is saying, "Come on, get along with these guys. Why are you going after these guys so hard, Israel? Like, why are you so messed up? Why are you so obsessed with getting these guys on the other side of that fence? Who, the moment they get on the same side of the fence with you, start torturing and mutilating and raping women to death, cutting them up."
Alhamdulillah.
Cutting them up and hammering nails into them and shooting them in their vajayjay. Why are you going after those guys? Come on, ceasefire, tear down the fence, and from the river to the sea, let Hamas be in control. This is nuts, man. This is absolutely insane.
From the river to the sea, let me rape thee. Yeah. Okay. I should go. Okay, David, have fun.
Go, go,
I'm
go, go.
leaving.
You
I'm
can.
bouncing. I'm bouncing. See ya.
You can.
Stay away from them. But. Stay away from Islam, everyone.
Everyone stay away
Stay away from Islam.
from COVID. And
Okay, see.
don't desecrate the crown or you get diseases.
Okay, see you. Bye.
All right. All right. Glad AP showed up for a little heads up there during COVID. But I'll be happier, I have to say. I'll be even happier when we get Hatun on here. All right. Let's go through a couple super chats real quick. And then we're going to read that article. And it's most people who didn't read it. Okay, yeah, you guys are about to be traumatized here. So far it's 82% saying no. All right, let's read a couple super chats real quick, and then we're going to go through this article. And just so you know, it's pretty disturbing. So I'm glad you're all here, but it might be something you might not even want to pay attention to. In other words, you might want to, if you want to end the year on cheerful thoughts, you might want to be on a different live stream. I wanted to go through this and hopefully get off on a better start for the new year. Looking forward to not having to deal with this next year. Stream started on time today. Wonder what changed. I'll give you, I won't name any names or say what's different. I'll just give you initials. AP. Sir Whitemeat said, you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has vibrated AP with illness. This is the proof. That is, it's so like you could actually, if AP were complaining, oh, I'm so sick, it's horrible having COVID. Oh, like someone would go back to Ali Dawa's tweet and be, you see, it's the proof. It's the proof. And it's just, Dawa is so pathetic. I mean, the practice, not specifically referring to Ali Dawa, although Ali Dawa is no picnic either. Let's see. Oops. Just curious, what's your thoughts on creationism? Not the correct live stream for that, but I believe that God created the world. So, leave it at that for now. Farfour's new single will heal you, AP. Yeah, I think Chloe, everyone might want to check it out. I think Chloe posted a new video. I saw someone mentioning that. AP has the technology to pull up a new video. I could set it up in the settings. I don't know what I have to do in the settings, and I've never looked it up. Anytime I want to play a video, I actually import it into the system and then play it. But I don't just play it off YouTube. Although I can. You have to do stuff to where it feeds the audio in. So we can't, but yeah, we might check that out later on. Sir Whitemeat, take that Muslims. AP gets down, he gets back up. He is handling it pretty well. That's good. Not handing it like a crybaby. Hector says, you and AP should reenact the Farfour and dying grandpa scene. AP is the dying grandpa and D Wood as Farfour. Yeah, I've been thinking of, I looked, you can actually get like really, really high quality mouse costumes for like $500 and so on. So we're thinking about, these are all kinds of cool things we can do. We could do our own children's show with that. Next, I do have an Ali Dawa ad on my channel. It's meant to help with your Woodies. For anyone who doesn't know, yeah, I saw you post that on Twitter as well, but it's a clip of Ali Dawa really, really dialing. This is totally just from Ali Dawa's videos, but he's really dialing up his campaign for people to buy his orgasm intensifier pills. It's absolutely amazing. Hijab will go on with Rabbi Shmuley and say, oh, your daughter sells this in her shop, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Hijab's best friend is selling orgasm intensifier pills on YouTube. Hey, D Wood, you should end 2023 with a funny prison story that makes it look fun and makes us want to get arrested too. Funny prison story. I told this one before. I told it, but this was several years ago on John McCrae's video. But probably the funniest thing that happened. See, now this is funny because I'm actually delaying getting into the article because it's so messed up and it's going to change the kind of tone of everything and this whole, New Year's thing and so on. I would kind of rather just be ending the year like this, just telling funny stories or something like that. But probably the funniest thing that happened in prison. This was right after you you're in jail temporarily. That's when you're like going to court. And if you have a short sentence, they'll leave you in jail. But if they're keeping you long term, then they send you to prison. And in where I was, before they send you to prison, before they send you to the prison you're actually going to get you out of jail, they send you to what's called a reception and classification center. That's where they take everyone who's leaving jail and they put them in a place. And that's where they determine where they're going. So they like interview you and figure out like if a person has a drug problem, they'll send them to a prison that has a drug program. If someone is a sex offender or something like that, like a rapist or something like that, we'll send them to a different place where they have programs for dealing with that. So they decide where to send you. They decided to send me to a place that has mental health staff because they thought I might have a problem. And so anyway, they sent me to the reception and classification center. And it was there's kind of the hub area where that's like where there's a guard and it's sort of an interesting setup, but there's like this hub and then like there's one long hallway that goes down that way, one long hallway that goes down that way, and one long hallway that goes down this way, so that the guard can look in any direction and see all the way down the hall. But there was this so I was in B wing, so the middle one, B wing. And so it's just this long hallway of cells. I was in there with a guy named Javar. He was in there for murder. He was a young guy. He was like 17 too. They tried him as an adult. He's 17 in there for murdering someone while committing a robbery. So anyway, we're in the cell together. And we're at kind of one end of we were in cell B24. We're all the way at the end of almost all the way at the end of the hall. And for shower time, it's a four person shower. During shower time, you had 5 minutes from the time your door opened. From the time your door opened, you had 5 minutes to get down, take your shower, and be out of the shower so that the next guys could come in there. And so you'd have a towel. And what would happen is they'd open the prison, your door would open, and you'd grab your towel. I'd usually just go out with my towel wrapped around me because I'd walk down the hall, and you'd throw your dirty boxers and t-shirt in a bin, take your shower, get back out, and then there's a bin that has clean t-shirts and boxers and stuff. So I'd just be wearing a towel up and down the hall. The side issue was, since you were in such a rush, since you only had 5 minutes, and by the time you get down there, you've already used up some of your time, and you get in there and people are still getting out of the shower, so they're kind of in the way, and that's not a lot of time. So one thing that would happen is you'd sort of put your towel down and someone would like lift up whatever, his towel or something like that and put it on top of yours or something like that. Anyway, I go in there and there's no towel on a hook. So I put my towel on a hook, jump in the shower. Anyway, I'm finishing up my shower. I look back and there's a guy there using my towel, right? There's a guy there wiping his face with my towel. And that's a towel I've been using for like weeks. I've been using the same towel for weeks, drying off my my rear end, my privates, and he's rubbing it all over his face. Like, do I say something? Because if he doesn't know, it's not going to hurt him. So anyway, I'm like, it's not gonna hurt him if he doesn't know. And then of course there's a remaining, after he leaves, there's a remaining towel there. So I know, his towel was over there. He grabbed mine because he wasn't paying attention to where he put his towel, and so he used my towel. Anyway, there's no way I'm using his towel. So I'm thinking that's kind of funny that he just rubbed my towel all over his face. That's disgusting, and he's not going to know about it. And then I realize, of course, that I'm standing there, butt naked, dripping wet, with nothing, and I don't even have a towel because I threw my boxers and my t-shirt into the bin. So I'm sitting there butt naked and in the shower, no way to dry off. Because they're not handing out towels there. They're not handing out towels. You get the towel, and your towel gets sent to laundry and so on. So I realize I have to walk out of there and walk. You have to walk down the hall a little bit to get to there's one guy who has a big bin full of boxers, and you have to pick which size you want. And then there's another guy who has a big bin full of t-shirts. And so I have to walk down there butt naked and dripping wet. And so these guys are sitting here reading magazines as I'm walking down there. These are inmates. This is their job there. They're sitting there reading when I walk up to them, butt naked, dripping wet. And these guys are sitting there reading, and then all of a sudden they look up, and it was funny because both of them looked up in exactly the same way at the same time. They both go, go, right? And they bolted in different directions down the hallway. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to grab my stuff and then walk all the way down the hallway butt naked. And so let me just put on the boxers real quick. Then I'll walk down there. So I put on some boxers real quick. I didn't realize I put them on backwards. I was like, no one's going to notice. I walk down and then someone yells, hey, his boxers are on backwards. And that's not a good idea in there. Anyway, I got back to my cell and I just started cracking up laughing because it was like super funny, the whole scenario. Just the guy wiping on his face and then me having to walk down the hall butt naked. The funny part was this all happened the day after I prayed to God for more humility. I was like, God, one of the biggest problems I've ever had during my life was pride. Could you just bless me with more humility? And then the next day, this whole situation happens. Anyway, I get back to the cell. I'm cracking up laughing. I'm like, I was like, oh, wow, that was an awesome answer to prayer. Thanks for that. Thanks for the humility. I was just cracking up laughing. My cellmate, Javar, he's like, what happened? What happened? And so I told him the whole story. And I was like, yeah. And then so he's drying off in my towel. He's like, so what'd he say when you told him? I'm like, I didn't tell him. He's like, what? How could you not tell him? That would have been so funny. I was like, yeah, it would have been funny, but it's not going to bother him if he doesn't know. And Javar's like, I would have been like, hey, how my balls feel all over your face, huh? And so anyway, then we're both cracking up laughing. Anyway, that was you kind of had to be there, but that was those are fun times. So lots of stuff like that happened over the years, but that was having to walk down in the middle of a bunch of cells, butt naked, dripping wet, was pretty fun. That was pretty fun. And so going back to the comment here, that's a prison story. It was fun. It was very fun. And it should make all of you want to get arrested. So you too can have someone use your towel, rub his towel all over his face. And then you can walk around butt naked. All right, couple more. And then we're going to get to this article. Gosh, we've already been going for a while. We haven't even touched the article. All right, couple more, and then we'll definitely start reading. Allah is merciful, APUC. Thank you for coming. Get well soon. Well, he already left, so how much can you thank him? AP is lucky Allah didn't curse him like he cursed Muhammad by severing his aorta. I know that would be, and just so everyone knows, that's always in my head. Like because here's the thing, when you say, I pray for Quran desecrators to get diseases, well, there's a bunch of Quran desecrators. So eventually someone's going to get an actual bad disease. And then what will happen? That will be the only person the Dawa guys remember. And you see, look, this person got this disease. And so, yeah, I already thought of that as soon as that happens, because it's kind of inevitable. If you curse enough people, if something happens to one of them. And that's kind of, I'm sure the Dawa guys are aware of that. But who's going to have something worse than what Muhammad went through? When Aisha herself said that she never saw anyone in as much pain as Muhammad after he was poisoned and leading up to his death. Like, what's worse? In fact, there's nothing worse now. Even if you get some horrible disease, like something really, really bad that you're just going to die from, you're going to be in a hospital and you're going to be on painkillers and stuff. And it's just not going to be anywhere near as bad as what Muhammad went through. So nice try, Dawa guys. Not going to work. Yeah. Farfour says, Allah got him good, yeah. Farfour. There's Farfour bragging. Farfour, you got murdered, man. AP's just got COVID. AP heroically joins live stream, fighting the worst offer of his life. Atheist. D Wood didn't bother asking. Christian, draw your own conclusions. Hey, the draw your own conclusions you normally go in my favor, but now they're in AP's favor. AP entered like a cameo in a 90s TV show. Yeah, he did. And it's cool that he bolted. It's kind of cool, right? Showed up, said hi, talked for a couple of minutes, looked horrible, and then left. AP, why you spluttering? D Wood, clear-minded and lively Christian. AP, confused like a newborn calf and looks like he's dying after smoking a 5-pack. Atheist, draw your own conclusions. See, that's what we're looking for. And that, of course, came from our hero, I choose the cow. Yes, as a wooden woody woodpecker is a common name. Oh yeah, wooden. Yeah, you've probably experienced that. I even had a friend. He was named Willie, and he would always. It's funny. I remember this was seventh grade. And I remember like actually being in the class because every day his class was next to mine, and he would walk by, and as he's walking by the door right before class starts, he would go, and then he'd keep going. For those of you who are too young, that was the Woody Woodpecker laugh. For a pack of the super chat is for a pack of tissues for AP. No comment there. All right, one or two more, and then we're going to get to this article. As you can see, I'm delaying because it is pretty darn messed up, ladies and gentlemen. It is a messed up article that's going to be pretty terrible for some of you because 84%, I've just looked, people had plenty of time to respond. 84% have not read this. So we're going to read it. We're going to read the entire thing. What is this? Allah is a schemer and a deceiver. Bibbidi bub. What's the song here? Bippity boppity boo. Allah said, Muhammad said, stop. Bippity boppity. I can't remember the song. I remember the bippity boppity boo. That's a Disney thing, right? I didn't see enough of those when I was growing up. Let's see. AP beated Allah. Yeah, he did. David, why the Quran is calling Christians Nazarene? Is the author of the Quran ignorant about Christians, or is he doing it purposely? There are all sorts of theories on lots of the things, like even the name Isa. Like, why not call him that's not Arabic for Jesus. That's Arabic for Esau. So why is Jesus Isa? And you have different theories. You have different theories usually about, I mean, if you're a Muslim, you have one theory. If you're not, then you have some different ideas. But basically, if you're not a Muslim, then you think Muhammad's just interacting with certain groups who talk about certain people this way and use these names. And so it's actually one theory on why Jesus is called Isa, that Muhammad was encountering some Jewish critics of Christianity who were referring to Jesus as Isa because it was a derogatory term to call someone Esau, because he was the enemy. Esau became the enemy of the Jews. And so that's a theory on how Jesus got the name Isa in Islam. It's like they were using it in a derogatory fashion, but Muhammad's too dumb to know what's going on. All right, so let's go ahead and go through. There are more super chats, but let's go ahead and go through some of this article here. Well, again, unless something weird happens, we're going to go through the entire thing. But let's see. So this is the New York Times. The New York Times did an investigation. Now, one interesting thing, and some of you might be familiar with this, but Jews very frequently really, really, really want to bury someone quickly. I had seen this on shows. Like I didn't know this from I didn't know this from any research. I just saw it on TV shows like on Law and Order. There would be a crime. There would be a crime against a Jewish person, and the medical examiners want to do autopsies and so on to determine cause of death. But like the Jewish family, like, no, you have to bury. We have to bury him now. We have to bury him now. And so you have. So anyway, I was looking it up. There is some diversity of viewpoints in there, but there are lots of Jews who really, really, really want to bury someone who dies before sundown. And then there are some who think you can wait till the second day if it's really, really important, something really, really important is going on. And there are some who think you can if there was an absolute emergency, like there's no family around, there's no one to do it, and family has to travel from a different country or something like that. There are some who think you can wait till the third day, but very common to think at almost all costs, you have to get that person buried very, very quickly. And the numbers seem to get smaller as far as the viewpoints who think that you can possibly wait up to 3 days. So one thing that comes out in this article is when the emergency crews and the first responders and so on are arriving, they understand that lots of people will want these victims buried immediately. So they're thinking only in terms of identify the person and get the person buried. Identify the person and then get the person buried. That's what they're focused on. They're not focused on get the evidence of this person's, they're not doing like rape kits like on a TV show or where, hey, we need to do and swab for fluids and stuff because then we can arrest a person later on based on DNA testing and so on. So they just had a completely different mindset. It's they're getting there. We have to identify this person, and then once the person is identified, we need to get this person buried very, very quickly. And so that's the situation. Anyway, let's go through this. Oh, and by the way, anyone who knows more about this, because again, I just picked that up from shows and so on in the past that Jews tend to be way more concerned about quick burials than most other people. But then I was looking it up a little bit just because of this article. But you'll see why. But if anyone knows a bit more about that, if we have anyone who knows more about Judaism, please share that info with us. All right, let's go through some of this. So this, the New York Times posted this a couple days ago where they actually went and interviewed some people and started looking to see what the evidence is, because there were people denying that Hamas was, of course, targeting civilians, and two, that they were sexually doing various sexual things to women and girls and bodies and so on. All right, let's look at this. At first, she was known simply as the woman in the black dress. In a grainy video, you can see her lying on her back, dress torn, legs spread, vagina exposed. Her face is burned beyond recognition, and her right hand covers her eyes. The video was shot in the early hours of October 8th by a woman searching for a missing friend at the site of the rave in southern Israel, where the day before, Hamas terrorists massacred hundreds of young Israelis. And some of the video footage, like, notice this woman sort of got it by accident. She's searching for a friend, and she gets on camera one of the bodies. That's another thing that comes up. Apparently, Jews do not like taking photos or images of these people who'd been mutilated. Whereas now, and this is coming out now, when people are saying, where's the proof? Where's the proof? It would have been nice to be able to, but notice even then you kind of don't want to, because there are people like get off on that, right? In other words, if there are people creepy enough to do it, there are people who are creepy enough to look at the photos and kind of get off on it. Like, oh, look at this Jewish woman and what they did to her. But anyway, they were very reluctant. Most of the people were very reluctant to be taking videos and pictures of mutilated bodies. But the video was shot in the early hours of October 8th by a woman searching for a missing friend at the site of the rave in southern Israel, where the day before, Hamas terrorists massacred hundreds of young Israelis. The video went viral, with thousands of people responding, desperate to know if the woman in the black dress was their missing friend, sister, or daughter. So this is, the issue was, on the next day, there were tons of people who are still trying to find out if their friend or sister or daughter was still alive. But here you have a woman who'd been horribly burned and was unrecognizable, and you don't know if that's your friend or your sister or your daughter. And so everyone kind of panics. What if that's someone I know? And they couldn't tell who it was. One family knew exactly who she was. Gal Abdush, mother of two from a working class town in central Israel, who disappeared from the rave that night with her husband. As the terrorists closed in on her, trapped on a highway in a line of cars. So let's see what happened to her. As the terrorists closed in on her, trapped on a highway in a line of cars of people trying to flee the party, she sent one final WhatsApp message to her family: "You don't understand." And yeah, me and AP talked to a survivor, and he was in a car that was actually fleeing. So it sounds like he was on the exact same road, but he actually got away. So anyway, this is sounding familiar. So she messages people. So for anyone who doesn't know, Hamas was lined up on the road with Kalashnikovs and so on. And the people driving down the road thought that this is like police checkpoint for something. And so they're driving up to it, and all of a sudden these guys open fire on the cars. Based largely on the video evidence, which was verified by the New York Times, Israeli police officials said they believed that Miss Abdush was raped, and she has become a symbol of the horrors visited upon Israeli women and girls during the October 7th attacks. Israeli officials say that everywhere Hamas terrorists struck, the rave, the military bases along the Gaza border, and the kibbutzim, they brutalized women. A 2-month investigation by the Times uncovered painful new details, establishing that the attacks against women were not isolated events, but part of a broader pattern of gender-based violence on October 7th. So, looks like what they're saying here is and I've seen Muslims say this, I've seen Muslims who acknowledge that there were attacks on women and so on, but they say, this is just someone who got out of hand or something like this, or some civilians who crossed over or something like that. And so the Times is saying, no, this wasn't some isolated incident. This was a pattern of violence against women on October 7th. Relying on video footage, photographs, GPS data from mobile phones, and interviews with more than 150 people, including witnesses, medical personnel, soldiers, and rape counselors, the Times identified at least 7 locations where Israeli women and girls appear to have been sexually assaulted or mutilated. So 7 different areas of the attack. Here you have a map here of some of the different areas where these attacks were going on. And so it was multiple areas where women and girls were being sexually assaulted and or mutilated. 4 witnesses described in graphic detail seeing women raped and killed at 2 different places along Route 232, the same highway where Miss Abdush's half-naked body was found sprawled on the road at a 3rd location. So women were being raped and killed. So people were on the road and they see areas where women are being raped and killed, and then Miss Abdush was at a 3rd location. And the Times interviewed several soldiers and volunteer medics who together described finding more than 30 bodies of women and girls in and around the rave site and in 2 kibbutzim in a similar state as Mrs. Abdush's, legs spread, clothes torn off, signs of abuse in their genital areas. And when they say signs of abuse in their genital areas, this is pretty bad stuff. This is pretty bad stuff here. And it seems to be an obsession with the jihadis to mutilate the women's genital areas. Keep in mind, these jihadis are people who live on the other side of a fence. So you've got the Israelis, and then there's a fence, sometimes a double fence, and on the other side of that fence, you've got guys who are obsessed with torturing and mutilating and gang raping Jewish women. And the response of the world is, come on, guys, just get along with them. Don't go after them, Israel. Don't go after them, Israel. Don't go after them too hard. Get a couple of them. Even they killed over 1,000 of your people, so you've more than settled the score. Let them go now. In contrast to Israel, which is saying, no, we're going to hunt these guys down. We're going to kill them for what they did. Many of the accounts are difficult to bear, and the visual evidence is disturbing to see. So there is all kinds of stuff that certain journalists are allowed to see that most people aren't allowed to see. People don't want these images to be made open to the public because, again, there are creepy people out there. Many of the accounts are difficult to bear, and the visual evidence is disturbing to see. The Times viewed photographs of one woman's corpse that emergency responders discovered in the rubble of a besieged kibbutz with dozens of nails driven into her thighs and groin. They hammered dozens of nails into her thighs and groin. Notice, so when you saw that there were signs of abuse of their genital regions. We're thinking, again, like TV shows in America, oh, some bruising or something like that. They're talking about like nails being hammered into the girls. And as we read a little more, again, this is what's messed up. These guys apparently got off on the idea of torturing and mutilating these girls as they're being gang raped. So one guy is raping, the guys are taking turns raping the girl. Other guys are mutilating them. And this is considered a good thing to do. So notice dozens. So if you're saying dozens, you're talking about at least 24. At least 24 nails driven into her thighs and groin. The Times also viewed a video provided by the Israeli military showing 2 dead Israeli soldiers at a base near Gaza who appeared to have been shot directly in their vaginas. So the Hamas guys were shooting women in their vaginas. Hamas has denied Israel's accusations of sexual violence. And of course, there are some people in the world who would just believe Hamas. But Hamas has denied Israel's accusations of sexual violence. Israeli activists have been outraged that the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and the agency UN Women did not acknowledge the many accusations until weeks after the attacks. So the UN just wouldn't say much until they were pressured and shamed after weeks into acknowledging that maybe there's something happening there. Investigators with Israel's top national police unit, Lahav 433, have been steadily gathering evidence, but they have not put a number on how many women were raped, saying that most are dead and buried, and that they will never know. No survivors have spoken publicly. So no survivors are speaking publicly about what they experienced. Some are speaking to the media, but they're pointing out most of the people who were actually killed were buried. The Israeli police have acknowledged that during the shock and confusion of October 7th, the deadliest day in Israeli history, they were not focused on collecting semen samples from women's bodies. Again, they're not thinking in terms of, hey, there could be a future trial where we could actually hold these guys to account. And they're not thinking, hey, there are going to be people months down the road who say, no, none of this ever happened, and they would have to prove it. They're thinking, identify these girls and women and get them buried. So weren't focused on collecting semen samples from women's bodies, requesting autopsies, or closely examining crime scenes. At that moment, the authorities said they were intent on repelling Hamas and identifying the dead. A combination of chaos, enormous grief, and Jewish religious duties meant that many bodies were buried as quickly as possible. Again, it's very common among Jews to want if you die, there are many Jews who want you buried by sundown. Most were never examined, and in some cases, like at the rave scene, where more than 360 people were slaughtered in a few hours, the bodies were hauled away by the truckload. That has left the Israeli authorities at a loss to fully explain to families what happened to their loved ones in their final moments. Miss Abdush's relatives, for instance, never received a death certificate. They are still searching for answers. So this woman has been identified. She was buried. Then a person sort of accidentally, while going around looking to see if her friend survived, gets this woman on a video, and that's the indication that the family gets about what actually happened. They're still searching for answers. In cases of widespread sexual violence during a war, it is not unusual to have limited forensic evidence, experts said. Armed conflict is so chaotic, said Adil Haq, a Rutgers law professor and war crimes expert. People are more focused on their safety than on building a criminal case down the road. Very often, he said, sex crime cases will be prosecuted years later on the basis of testimony from victims and witnesses. The eyewitnesses might not even know the name of the victim, he added, but if they can testify as, I saw a woman being raped by this armed group, that can be enough. Screams without words. Sapir, a 24-year-old accountant, has become one of the Israeli police's key witnesses. She does not want to be fully identified, saying she would be hounded for the rest of her life if her last name were revealed. That's actually true. You had the Yazidi survivors, so some of the Yazidi women and girls were forced into sex slavery, and ISIS had it set up like kind of like a brothel. They had women in rooms, and the jihadis come and fight, finish fighting for the day, and go into the room and rape these girls. These girls are getting raped by like 30 different jihadis a day and so on. Anyway, a lot of these girls survived, moved to different areas. But I read an article a while back about a woman who was a sex slave of ISIS, got away to Canada. So she got refugee status in Canada, and she gets hounded. I mean, all the time. Talking trash to her, bragging about what happened to her, saying it's going to happen to her again. And they're just creepy people who really, really love harassing these people. She attended the rave with several friends and provided investigators with graphic testimony. She also spoke to the Times. In a 2-hour interview outside a cafe in southern Israel, she recounted seeing groups of heavily armed gunmen rape and kill at least 5 women. She said that at 8 a.m. on October 7th, she was hiding under the low branches of a bushy tamarisk tree just off Route 232, about 4 miles southwest of the party. She had been shot in the back. She felt faint. She covered herself in dry grass and lay as still as she could. So she was shot. She was bleeding. She covered herself up and hid. But from where she was, she could see what was going on with other people. About 15 meters from her hiding place, she said, she saw motorcycles, cars, and trucks pulling up. She said that she saw about 100 men, most of them dressed in military fatigues and combat boots, a few in dark sweatsuits, getting in and out of the vehicles. She said the men congregated along the road and passed between them assault rifles, grenades, small missiles, and badly wounded women. So notice this isn't far from her. She's still in hiding and about 15 meters away, so very close, there's a bunch of jihadis, about 100, passing around stuff. They're passing around equipment. They're passing around weapons, grenades. Someone had used up all their grenades, needed some more grenades. They're passing those around, and they're passing around badly wounded women. She said it was like an assembly point. The first victim she said she saw was a young woman with copper-colored hair, blood running down her back, pants pushed down to her knees. One man pulled her by the hair and made her bend over. Another penetrated her, Sapir said, and every time she flinched, he plunged a knife into her back. So he's raping her. And every time she flinches, he stabs her. She said she then watched another woman shredded into pieces. While one terrorist raped her, she said, another pulled out a box cutter and sliced off her breast. This is what I was talking about with these guys getting off on mutilating and torturing women and girls while in the process of raping them. It reminds me of I remember, who was that serial killer out in California? He had a name. What was that, guys? I'm going to look it up real quick. I don't know. California's probably had a bunch of serial killers. I want to get the right one. It's not the Zodiac. It's that. What is that dude's name? Not Mansa, not Hitchhike, not Scorecard. It's not the Zodiac, was it? Doodler. Oh, there we go. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. 13 victims. Richard Ramirez said he liked raping. What he got off on was raping a woman, and then while raping her, slitting her throat and watching her skin color, her face, the color of her face change as the blood ran out of her. So that's what he liked doing. But these guys seem pretty similar in the sense that they are, they like raping the women while mutilating them and torturing them to death. Yeah, people saw. Yeah, people. Yeah, everyone started naming him when I asked Richard Ramirez. So, yeah, that was a creepy dude. So anyway, yeah, Ramirez liked killing them while raping them. Although, I mean, he just liked seeing the blood run out of them. These guys seem to like cutting people's body parts off and so on while doing it. So anyway, while one terrorist raped her, she said another pulled out a box cutter and sliced off her breast. One continues to rape her, and the other throws her breast to someone else, and they play with it, throw with it, and it falls on the road. She said the men sliced her face, and then the woman fell out of view. Around the same time, she said, she saw 3 other women raped and terrorists carrying the severed heads of 3 more women. So they're beheading women, raping, beheading. And that's what's going on there. Sapir provided photographs of her hiding place and her wounds. And police officials have stood by her testimony and released a video of her with her face blurred, recounting some of what she saw. Yura Carroll, a 22-year-old security consultant, said she was hiding in the same spot, and he can be seen in one of Sapir's photos. So looks like there were multiple witnesses. He said he and Sapir were part of a group of friends who had met up at the party. In an interview, Mr. Carroll said he barely lifted his head to look at the road, but he also described seeing a woman raped and killed. Since that day, Sapir said she has struggled with a painful rash that spread across her torso, and she can barely sleep, waking up at night, heart pounding, covered in sweat. That day, I became an animal, she said. I was emotionally detached, sharp, just the adrenaline of survival. I looked at all this as if I was photographing them with my eyes, not forgetting any detail. I told myself I should remember everything. That same morning, along Route 232, but in a different location about a mile southwest of the party area, Raz Cohen, a young Israeli who had also attended the rave and had worked recently in the Democratic Republic of Congo training Congolese soldiers, that's the rape capital of the world there, said that he was hiding in a dried-up stream bed. It provided some cover from the assailants combing the area and shooting anyone they found, he said in an 1.5-hour interview in a Tel Aviv restaurant. Gosh, is that the dude? He looks pretty cool. Raz Cohen. Is this Raz Cohen? Guy looks pretty tough. Looks like a special forces guy. Security consultant. Yeah, that's him. Hey, this guy looks tough. Maybe 40 yards in front of him, he recalled, a white van pulled up and its doors flew open. 40 yards in front of him, a white van pulled up and its doors flew open. He said he then saw 5 men wearing civilian clothes, all carrying knives and one carrying a hammer, dragging a woman across the ground. She was young, naked, and screaming. They all gather around her, Mr. Cohen said. She's standing up. They start raping her. I saw the men standing in a half circle around her. One penetrates her. She screams. I still remember her voice. Screams without words. Screams without words. Then one of them raises a knife, he said, and they just slaughtered her. Shom Gueda, one of Mr. Cohen's friends and a fashion designer, said the two were hiding together in the stream bed. He said he saw at least 4 men step out of the van and attack the woman, who ended up between their legs. He said that they were talking, giggling, and shouting, and that one of them stabbed her with a knife repeatedly, literally butchering her. Hours later, the first wave of volunteer emergency medical technicians arrived at the rave site. If anyone's wondering why some of this took so long, again, me and AP We were talking to one of the survivors there. There's a local military base that's meant to guard against Hamas. Hamas conquered the base. They took over the military base and killed all the soldiers there. So the place that is supposed to be the local military security, Hamas beat them and killed them all. Hours later, the first wave of volunteer emergency medical technicians arrived at the rave site. In interviews, 4 of them said that they discovered bodies of dead women with their legs spread and underwear missing, some with their hands tied by rope and zip ties in the party area, along the road, in the parking area, and in the open fields around the rave site. Jamal Waraki, a volunteer medic with the nonprofit Zaka Emergency Response Team, said he could not get out of his head a young woman in a rawhide vest found between the main stage and the bar. Her hands were tied behind her back, he said. She was bent over, half naked, her underwear rolled down below her knees. Yanan Rivlin, a member of the rave's production team who lost 2 brothers in the attacks, said that after hiding from the killers, he emerged from a ditch and made his way to the parking area east of the party along Route 232, looking for survivors. Near the highway, he said, he found the body of a young woman on her stomach, no pants or underwear, legs spread apart. He said her vagina area appeared to have been sliced open, as if someone tore her apart. Similar discoveries were made in 2 kibbutzim, Birai and Kfar Aza. 8 volunteer medics and 2 Israeli soldiers told the Times that in at least 6 different houses, they had come across a total of at least 24 bodies of women and girls, naked or half naked, some mutilated, others tied up, and often alone. A paramedic in an Israeli commando unit said that he had found the bodies of 2 teenage girls in a room in Birai. One was lying on her side, he said, boxer shorts ripped, bruises by her groin. The other was sprawled on the floor, face down, he said, pajama pants pulled to her knees, bottom exposed, semen smeared on her back. Because his job was to look for survivors, he said, he kept moving and did not document the scene. Neighbors of the 2 girls killed, who were sisters, 13 and 16, said their bodies had been found alone, separated from the rest of their family. The Israeli military allowed the paramedic to speak with reporters on the condition that he not be identified because he serves in an elite unit. Many of the dead were brought to the Shura military base in central Israel for identification. Here, too, witnesses said they saw signs of sexual violence. Shari Mendez, an architect called up as a reserve soldier to help prepare the bodies of female soldiers for burial, said she had seen 4 with signs of sexual violence, including some with a lot of blood in their pelvic areas. Oh, it's a truck with people in body bags. A dentist, Captain Mayan, who worked at the same identification center, said that she had seen at least 10 bodies of female soldiers from Gaza observation post with signs of sexual violence. Captain Mayan asked to be identified only by her rank and surname because of the sensitivity of the subject. She said she had seen several bodies with cuts in their vaginas and underwear soaked in blood, and one whose fingernails had been pulled out. So notice the fingernails being pulled out. Again, it's raping them while torturing them. The investigation. The Israeli authorities have no shortage of video evidence from the October 7th attacks. They have gathered hours of footage from Hamas body cameras, dash cams, security cameras, and mobile phones showing Hamas terrorists killing civilians. That's weird because I keep hearing from the Dawa guys that these guys didn't kill civilians. Killing civilians and many images of mutilated bodies. But I thought they wouldn't mutilate bodies. I'm confused now. But Moshe Finzi, a deputy superintendent and senior spokesman of Israel's National Police, said we have 0 autopsies, 0, making an O with his right hand. In the aftermath of the attack, police officials said forensics examiners were dispatched to the Shura military base to help identify the hundreds of bodies. Israeli officials say around 1,200 people were killed that day. So the forensic examiners are there to identify people, not to do autopsies on exactly what killed these 1,200 people. The examiners worked quickly to give the agonized families of the missing a sense of closure and to determine by a process of elimination who was dead and who was being held hostage in Gaza. Oh, and by the way, that's another big part of it, not just the general Jewish beliefs on having a quick burial. They're also working quickly because they know that some people were dead and some people were taken hostage. And so you know everyone who's missing. So you know everyone who's accounted for because you got families coming, you got families calling and, hey, you know, my daughter's missing. Where is she? Well, you don't know. You don't know if her daughter was killed or if she's hiding somewhere or if she was taken hostage. And so you got to do process of elimination. You have to find everyone. You have to identify everyone who's dead. And then you know who was taken away. So who was dead and who was being held hostage in Gaza. According to Jewish tradition, funerals are held promptly. The result was that many bodies with signs of sexual abuse were put to rest without medical examinations, meaning that potential evidence now lies buried in the ground. International forensics experts said that it would be possible to recover some evidence from the corpses, but that it would be difficult. In other words, if you say, I actually, instead of just burying my daughter, I want to know who raped her. And so I want you examining the body and doing, DNA tests and stuff to find out, get some more information, or to just do an autopsy. That's possible, but just not likely. I mean, really, do you want your, so the question is, would the families of these victims want someone going and digging them up and doing research? It kind of depends. I mean, on the one hand, you just want to say, no, she's already been buried, leave her alone. And on the other hand, you might say, no, if you can get someone, I want you to get him. Mr. Fincy said Israeli security forces were still finding imagery that shows women were brutalized. Sitting at his desk at an imposing police building in Jerusalem, he swiped open his phone, tapped and produced the video of the two soldiers shot in the vagina, which he said was recorded by Hamas gunmen and recently recovered by Israeli soldiers. So that actually came from Hamas guys recording themselves shooting women in their vaginas. A colleague sitting next to him, Mirat Ben Meir, a police chief superintendent, said she believed that the brutality against women was a combination of two ferocious forces, the hatred for Jews and the hatred for women. That is a good summary. So jihadis might hate Jews, jihadis might hate women. What happens when they get Jewish women? Well, they are especially brutal towards Jewish women. Again, I remind everyone, these are the guys who are on the opposite side of a fence from Israelis. And you have people around the world complaining, calling Gaza a prison because Israel has a fence up. Keep in mind, Israel did not control Gaza. Israel had pulled out of Gaza. Israel controls the border between Gaza and Israel, but Gaza also borders Egypt. And so they call it an open air prison because Israel has a fence there. On the other side of the fence are people who want to do this to women. And the whole world's, you're keeping them in a prison by having that fence there. By the way, notice this good summary again. The hatred, two ferocious forces, the hatred for Jews and the hatred for women. Can you think of a religion that sort of combines those two forces? Is there a religion out there that combines those two forces, hatred of Jews and hatred of women? There might be one. I wonder where we might find it. Some emergency medical workers now wish they had documented more of what they saw. In interviews, they said they had moved bodies, cut off zip ties, and cleaned up scenes of carnage. Trying to be respectful to the dead, they inadvertently destroyed evidence. So these guys are, these guys show up on a scene. There's a body, zip ties, tied up, and so on, and they're trying to be as respectful as possible. So they want to clean it up. They want to clean it up, get the body taken away, so the body can be buried. Many volunteers working for Zaka, the emergency response team, are religious Jews and operate under strict rules that command deep respect for the dead. I did not take pictures because we are not allowed to take pictures, said Yossi Landau, a Zaka volunteer. In retrospect, I regret it. So he's saying we are not allowed. We are forbidden from taking pictures of dead bodies. We're not allowed to do it. And he said, I wish I would have done it anyway. There are at least 3 women and 1 man who were sexually assaulted and survived. So these were not killed and not mutilated and tortured to death. These were people who were raped or sexually assaulted, and they survived, according to Gil Horev, a spokesman for Israel's Ministry of Welfare and Social Affairs. None of them has been willing to come physically for treatment, he said. 2 therapists said they were working with a woman who was gang raped at the rave and was in no condition to talk to investigators or reporters. The trauma from sexual assault can be so heavy that sometimes survivors do not speak about it for years, several rape counselors said. Many people are looking for the golden evidence of a woman who will testify about what happened to her, but don't look for that. Don't put this pressure on this woman, said Oret Solitsinu, executive director of the Association of Rape Crisis Centers in Israel. The corpses tell the story. And back to the woman in the black dress. One of the last images of Miss Abdush alive, captured by a security camera mounted on her front door, shows her leaving home with her husband, Nagi, at 2:30 a.m. on October 7th for the rave. He was wearing jeans and a black t-shirt. She was dressed in a short black dress, a black shawl tied around her waist, and combat boots. As she struts out, she takes a swig from a glass. Her brother-in-law remembers it was Red Bull and vodka and laughs. You've got to live life like it's your last moments. That was her motto, her sisters said. At daybreak, hundreds of terrorists closed in on the party from several directions, blocking the highways leading out. The couple jumped into their Audi, dashing off in a string of messages as they moved. We're on the border, Miss Abdush wrote to her family. We're leaving. Explosions. Her husband made his own calls to his family, leaving a final audio message for his brother Nissim at 7:44 a.m. Take care of the kids, he said. I love you. Gunshots rang out and the message stopped. That night, Eden Wesley, a car mechanic, drove to the rave site with 3 friends and found Miss Abdush sprawled half-naked on the road next to her burned car about 9 miles north of the site. She did not see the body of Mr. Abdush. In other words, they were separated. She saw other burned cars and other bodies and shot videos of several, hoping that they would help people identify missing relatives. Oh, so that's interesting. So some really don't like recording dead bodies. Some recorded the bodies to help people know what had happened, to help people know what happened to their families and friends and relatives and so on. So for identification purposes. When she posted the video of the woman in the black dress on her Instagram story, she was deluged with messages. Hi, based on your description. Oh, yeah. So everyone wants to know if that's their missing person. Hi, based on your description of the woman in the black dress, did she have blonde hair? One message read. Eden, the woman you just described with the black dress, do you remember the color of her eyes? Another said. So you just have a kind of grainy image of a woman who'd been burned in a black dress, and then everyone's wondering if that's their missing friend or relative. Some members of the Abdush family saw that video and another version of it filmed by one of Miss Wesley's friends. They immediately suspected that the body was Miss Abdush, and based on the way her body was found, they feared that she might have been raped. But they kept alive a flicker of hope that somehow it wasn't true. The videos caught the eye of Israeli officials as well. Very quickly after October 7th, they began gathering evidence of atrocities. They included footage of Miss Abdush's body in a presentation made to foreign governments and media organizations, using Miss Abdush as a representation of violence committed against women that day. Oh, so that's a screenshot. So that's a screenshot from the video. Can't see a lot there. A week after her body was found, I think this is the end of the article here. A week after her body was found, 3 government social workers appeared at the gate of the family's home in Kiryat Ekron, a small town in central Israel. They broke the news that Miss Abdush, 34, had been found dead. But the only document the family received was a 1-page form letter from Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, expressing his condolences and sending a hug. The body of Mr. Abdush, 35, was identified 2 days after his wife's. It was badly burned, and investigators determined who he was based on a DNA sample and his wedding ring. The couple had been together since they were teenagers. To the family, it seems only yesterday that Mr. Abdush was heading off to work to fix water heaters, a bag of tools slung over his shoulder, and Miss Abdush was cooking up mashed potatoes and schnitzel for their 2 sons, Eliav, 10, and Raphael, 7. The boys are now orphans. They were sleeping over at an aunt's the night their parents were killed. Miss Abdush's mother and father have applied for permanent custody, and everyone is chipping in to help. Night after night, Miss Abdush's mother, Eti Braka, lies in bed with the boys. So this is Grandma. Miss Abdush's mother, Eti Braka, lies in bed with the boys until they drift off. A few weeks ago, she said she tried to quietly leave their bedroom when the younger boy, so that's the 7-year-old, when the younger boy stopped her. Grandma, he said, I want to ask you a question. Honey, she said, you can ask me anything. Grandma, how did Mom die? Well, not a question you can answer. Not until he's older. So these are the parents. So these are the parents who are taking care of the kids. All right. So that's what I wanted to cover before the end of the year. So maybe next year won't suck so bad. All right, what's everyone's thoughts on this so far? So here's the thing. You've still got the Dawa guys. You've still got the Dawa guys. Defending Hamas, even if they won't openly defend Hamas. It's clear that's what they're actually doing. But you've got the Dawa guys, and they're still denying that Hamas was attacking civilians. Remember, what's the guy from 5 Pillars? Dilly Hussein. On Piers Morgan. Pierce asks Dilly Hussein, who runs a UK Muslim media organization, 5 Pillars, UK. And Pierce asks him to define terrorism. And Dilly says, his definition, he says, terrorism is when you're targeting civilians. And then Pierce says, well, based on that definition, then Hamas are terrorists because they did that. And then Dilly actually started grinning, saying, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that? Like, you're such an idiot for believing that Hamas was targeting civilians. And notice, so you got one, the idea that they were targeting civilians. So people who weren't military. Were they killing? In other words, the 1,200 people killed, were these all military personnel? No. They were mostly civilians. So That's why they come up with conspiracy theories. No, it was actually the IDF that went and killed him and so on. But anyway, so that you've got one, you've got the idea that they were targeting civilians, and two, you got the issue that they were actually raping women, and then three, that they're actually mutilating and torturing women. And what's creepy is for the people who, for the Dawa guys and their fans, and lots of their fans around the world, lots of moronic college students and so on, I don't trust any of the information. Right? So you could say, okay, look, here's this woman's image is caught on this video here. What's up with that? No, that was probably the IDF did that to her afterwards, just to make it look bad, to make what, the innocent Hamas did, to make it look even worse. And so notice in those situations, they've kind of got the same issue as Hamas, right? Like they hate Israel so much that they won't even listen. They won't even they won't even consider evidence seriously. And so this is what, again, guys, get your minds around the big picture here. Big picture. You've got Israel and a fence, and then Gaza. And within Gaza, there are people who don't want to kill anyone. There are people who wouldn't mutilate women and girls. What kind of people are signing on with Hamas? People who want to do this stuff. And even though there are people who don't support Hamas, there are videos of people in Gaza who are complaining about Hamas and so on. The majority of people voted for Hamas when they had an opportunity in 2005 to vote for their leaders, to vote for who's going to represent them. They voted for Hamas. And so they voted for people who really, really want to do this to Jews. Again, guys, it's just, imagine you had a neighbor who, that's what he wants to do to your wife and your daughter. You probably want to take some serious measures to make sure that guy can never do that. All right, suppose you have a population with hundreds or thousands of people who want to do that to your wives and daughters, and they're just on the other side of that fence. You'd probably want to make sure they don't have an opportunity to do that. And yet people around the world, shame on the Jews for keeping these guys in an open air prison. What do you mean by open air prison? Well, they got a big fence there between Israel and these guys, and they don't let people cross that fence without going through a checkpoint. And so it's a prison, even though they've got another border with Egypt. But it's got a fence. So, lots of prisons have fences. There's a fence there. So it's an open air prison. Okay. Why are these guys let's grant the terminology. Why are these guys in an open air prison? Oh, because there are a bunch of people there who really, really, really are obsessed with torturing and mutilating and raping and gang raping women and girls. Well, I don't know. If there were any group in the world that you'd want to protect your girls from, sounds like these guys. Sounds like these guys would be on the top of the list. So that's the situation. Anyway. Oh, I'm looking at the comments now. People are pointing out civilians participated. Yeah, you had Hamas, once they had gone through the barriers and checkpoints and so on. There were other people who went in to loot and so on. So they, it wasn't just Hamas jihadis. It was civilians going in to do stuff as well. But again, you got plenty of people who are shooting women so it was clear that Hamas jihadis were the perpetrators of quite a bit of this. All right. So sucks to, it's actually good that we're going to be wrapping up a couple hours before New Year's, at least where I am. So I guess where some of you are, it's already been New Year's. For some of you, it'll be a couple hours more, a few hours more after me. But for me, we've got 2 hours and 23 minutes. So it's good to wrap this up at some point, be done with it. What really sucks is, like, you can't just say it, point it out, and then move forward, because there will be people forever who deny that this happened. What happened on October 7th? Well, some freedom fighters tried to break out of their open air prison that they've been locked in with no reason, no reason for having these guys behind a fence. But they broke out of their open air prison for freedom. And they were eventually stopped. And then the IDF moved in and mutilated a bunch of people and killed their own people and so on to make it look bad so that they could justify their war going in. There are people who will be saying that for years. And so, as much as it sucks, we just have to periodically remind ourselves of what happened and what the evidence is. And New York Times, I have to say, doesn't seem to be much of a friend to Israel. So the fact that they're reporting on it seems, and after a 2-month investigation, seems like you're kind of weird if you think none of this stuff happened. All right, so we'll go ahead and take some of the rest of these super chats, and then we'll head out and hopefully have a happier New Year. Seems like all talking about AP. This is from earlier. Seems like all that Quran smoking finally got to AP. Also, cursed 3 years ago and only dying now. Geert was right. Even Allah's curses are messed up. Yeah, that would be funny. Notice how silly it is, by the way. It's like Ali Dawa calls curses on us for mutilating or desecrating the Quran, and we do it for years. AP gets COVID. Christian gangster. Whoa, we've got our gangsters too. We gonna pray for you, sucker. That's what we do, son. What's y'all's take on Finkelstein? Oh, is that the nickname for that Finkelstein dude? Yeah, I keep seeing him. I keep seeing people talk about him and so on. I just never managed to actually. I think I tweeted when he got fact checked at some point or something like that. But yeah, I'm still not familiar with him based on it's apart from hearing people talk about him pretty regularly. I'm finally able to be here and give a super chat. Praying for you, AP. Feel better soon. Happy New Year's, y'all. Yeah, let's all. Hope AP gets better soon because he does have a debate scheduled for Thursday. So, if you're a super cool Christian and not a lame, weird atheist, then you could be praying. And if you are an atheist, you can be hoping for chance to look favorably upon him. Cows, pa! I choose the goat. Born again Stefan says, Blessed New Year from Luxembourg brothers. May the Lord protect and keep you, AP. Stop taking these death jabs. It's cool. AP has avoided COVID this long. Again, I had it twice. Waited for you, couldn't bear to read it. Yeah. I mean, that's a messed up article. That's a messed up article. When you're reading about women having a breast cut off while a guy's gang raping her, or a guy raping a woman, and then every time she flinches, he plunges a knife into her again. And then, of course, hammering dozens of nails into a woman's thighs, women being shot in the vagina and so on. Not like it actually boggles my mind. Why do you want a fence between you and these guys? So that's notice that's before and that's even now. There's what do you need this fence? You're making it a prison. You're making it a prison. And then even beyond that, well, why are you still going after these guys, Israel? Why are you still why are you going so hard after Hamas? Why are you hunting these guys down? Why are you doing it? Why not just have a ceasefire? You've already done a lot of damage. Why don't you just let the rest of the guys go? But by the way, they still have hostages. But even apart from the hostages, why are you still trying to hunt down the guys that did all this stuff? Why not just give them a free pass? Gosh, people are lunatics, man. What in the world? People changing the topic. D. Wood, how close would you say the New Testament manuscripts are to modern translations? Very close. In fact, it's the The further you get, the better you get. In other words, because you learn more. You learn more, and you find more manuscripts as time goes on. So pretty darn good. AP, what sources? So these are from earlier. AP, what sources do you use on Arab migration to Palestine during the mandate period? Plus, I choose the Zabuba. I choose the Zabuba too. But you'll have to ask AP that. Issa says, responded to your email. Accepted. Happy New Year. Yes, Issa, indeed. AP and I have something that we are working on that the rest of you will hear about here pretty soon. But one of the things we want to do, because Issa's a Muslim, but he's not the Salafi type that normally hate us. And so, we're going to want to do some stuff with Issa. Issa's a Sufi. So he isn't with the guys who want to kill us. Chloe says, I'm not prepared, but assuming it was Ted Bundy, like from what I heard, cutting breasts off, necrophilia and stuff. Yeah. Ted Bundy was pretty creepy as well. That was a sick dude. Freaking psychopaths, man. Velvet says, love the work and dedication from you both. Keep the mission going strong of exposing Islam as only you brainiacs can. I'm a proud supporter. What is the time difference between when the Bible versus the Quran were written down? Well, the Bible's written over a period of 14 centuries. So it's a different concept of revelation, but the Bible is written over a period of about 14 or 1500 years, written in 3 different languages, Old Testament mostly in Hebrew, some in Aramaic, and then the New Testament in Koine Greek, written by about 40 different authors, so completely different situations on 3 different continents. And so that's the Bible. The Quran's written over a period of about 23. So the Bible's finished. The Bible's completely finished as at least individual books by the 1st century AD. Some of the compiling was later, but the individual books are done by the 1st century AD. In the 7th century, so the year 610 is when Muhammad supposedly receives his first revelation of the Quran. That's 610 AD. And then he continues receiving revelation supposedly until 632 AD. So it's a period of about 23 years that Muhammad is receiving revelations. So hope that answers your question. Get well, AP, and Happy New Year's. Get well, AP, and Happy New Year's, AP, D Wood, and community. Yeah. I'm looking forward to a new year. I mean, this year was cool because, again, as we were talking about earlier, it was cool. I don't know. We just got deeper into live streaming and so on. And I have kind of a problem of, like, if I'm focused on live streaming and setting up for the next live streaming and what are we going to talk about for the next live streaming, I'm normally not focused on making videos. And if I focus on making videos, that usually consumes all my time, and I'm not thinking about the live streaming. So it's like I kind of focus on one or the other. The same thing with channels. Like, I have multiple channels that post my stuff now, but it's weird because I can kind of only focus on like one at a time. So for 2024, that's really what I'm gonna focus on now, is trying to keep it kind of even, keep cranking out live streams, but also cranking out the normal content and posting on multiple channels. So working on that, and I've taken steps to. I'm going to have some people helping out with that. So it actually, with some people helping out with some of the stuff, then I should be able to be more consistent in working on multiple things at the same time. Sarah says, yes, my dear children, we have lost our dearest friend, AP. AP was martyred while defending his strap, the leather strap of his fathers and forefathers. That was funny. Someone shared, where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Someone shared yesterday on Twitter, and then I retweeted it. But we've been talking about how the some people would post like fake confirmation of scientific miracles in the Quran. But someone made one. Who was that? Oh, Bright Star on Twitter posted astronomy news. I should have pulled this up, but you can check it out on my Twitter page because I shared it there. But it's astronomy news. Planetary scientists discover eye of Uranus composed of leather straps. And then it actually has a scientific case that there's miraculous confirmation for Muhammad's claim that the eyes are the leather strap of Uranus, and using the planet Uranus. So yeah, it's good stuff. Blandina with super chat. Oh, no comment. Varun says, shouldn't you do something positive? This is feeling sick. Anyhow, happy 2024, D Wood. Yeah, I was thinking that, but and that was the original plan. And then couldn't do a year in review or looking forward to 2024 without AP, and thought, what do we really need to sort of get out of the way so we don't have to bring it up in the new year, and maybe we can start the new year on a positive note. So I went with this just because you still got all the people denying that it happened, and then you've got the New York Times of all places actually doing the report on this. So, yeah, not how I wanted to end, not how I wanted to do this last live stream of the year, but I don't know. Thought it needed to be done. Uzair says, you are correct about high priority for burial thing. Okay, so I asked people earlier to share any info they might have on burying people quickly. The idea was to dignify the deceased, their memory, and respect the mourners. Yeah, they also don't do the like embalming and so on. So, yeah, so it's in other words, it's not as easy to preserve a body. So you want to do that quickly. Chloe says, no pressure to play Farfour's song, hide like a rat, but it might cheer us up. Yeah, again, the way I have it set up now, I have to actually download it, then edit it turn it into a regular video, and then upload it here. So yeah, we'll have to do that. We'll have to do that a different time, but yeah, we'll be checking it out, and maybe that will be on a happier live stream. Input latency. I just get my news from memes, infinitely more reliable than the mainstream media. God bless nerds. Yeah, as far as the reliability, you've probably seen it if you've been on Twitter, but they've had over and over again the hashtag. And matter of fact, I had it in the thumbnail, the hashtag Me Too, and they've changed it to Me Too unless you're a Jew, because there are so many organizations that deal with violence against women and sexual violence against women that won't acknowledge or condemn what happened on October 7th. And so people have come up with the hashtag Me Too unless you're a Jew. So yep, it's Me Too. We've all been, unless you're a Jew, then you're kind of out of it. If only the people listened and got a pen pal. I hope JP understands better now. Yeah. Ongoing problem. This is true of atheists. This is true of Christians. This is true of Muslims. This is true of everyone. We have the group that we're a part of and the people around us, and it keeps us from realizing what certain other people are actually like. And so what I mean here is, if you're a Christian and you go to school and you have some Muslim friends at your school, you think, hey, I get along with these Muslim friends. Hey, there's a fine. And so you don't really understand the mentality of someone like Hamas, and you tend to think, they're just a little angry, a little ticked off. They got some disagreements with Israel and so on, not realizing how radically different they are from anything you were thinking. Similar with atheists. One of the big problems with the new atheism is you got, Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, and these guys are sitting around smoking cigars, sipping on champagne, and they're like, hey man, we're atheists and we're fine. We don't need any of this God stuff, and we're pretty good. We're pretty good here. Why don't we if we just got religion, everyone would be like us? And I don't realize, no, everyone would not be like you. Everyone would not be like you. It doesn't work like that. Get it, or get your minds around the issue that not everyone is like the people you're familiar with. There's some very, very different people in the world. And yeah, and so here with JP, it's a reference to JP's famous message to Muslim videos, where he was telling, he was thinking that he could really solve the problems and bring about world peace if Muslims would get a pen pal. If Sunnis would get a Shia pen pal, and then get a Christian pen pal, and then get a Jewish pen pal, and then everyone's hearts are going to melt and there will be world peace. Keep in mind, I'm not opposing the idea of trying to listen to other people or trying to correspond with other people. It's just when you realize what you're actually dealing with out there, you start to think maybe pen pal isn't the solution that you think it is, JP. Super sticker, Xia character handing over a cup of coffee, saying for you. Well, thank you. I do like some coffee. This is high octane coffee. I make iced coffee, then I put a bunch of extra espresso shots in there. Jesus, be on the watch for false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inside are ravenous wolves. By their fruits you will recognize them. Every rotten tree produces worthless fruit. And think about this, because Jesus just says this sort of generally about false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. And you'll know them by their fruits. You'll know them by what they actually produce. And just think about how perfect a description that is of Muhammad, who wasn't born for several centuries after this. But Muhammad comes along, hey, Christians, Jews, I'm on your side. I agree with you. We all have the same God. Hey, I believe in Jesus too. I'm a prophet. I'm getting revelations. And how does that end? How does that all end? What fruit has Muhammad produced for the world? Perfect description of Muhammad. And now they're the victims. Sorry, Israeli people. Yep. So now Hamas are the victims. Poor Hamas guys, torturing and mutilating and raping these girls. Now Israel keeps hunting them and bombing them. Irrelevant, but a Muslim I spoke to used Matthew 7:21, where Christ says, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, and said, you see, he says, don't call him Lord. That is, yeah, Sandman, that's a problem. I almost want to make an entire video out of that, because I've had that happen probably hundreds of times, where a Muslim will read that passage where Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven, right? So what's he saying there? He's saying simply saying the words are not enough. You have to actually obey God. Simply saying Jesus is Lord. Notice you could be the worst person in the world and just utter the words, just utter some words and say, hey, oh yeah, I believe in Jesus. You could be the worst person in the world. But Muslims will read that. So what does Jesus say? Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. And they'll say, see, Jesus is saying, don't call him Lord. Really? This the same Jesus who repeatedly calls himself Lord. So, but notice he doesn't say, don't call me Lord. He says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. In other words, just saying, no, yeah, Jesus is Lord, and not really believing anything and being a total scumbag, not enough. What do they do? And so that's an ongoing problem with the Dawa fans, is that they lack basic comprehension skills. Like they don't understand simple passages. And by the way, I've seen Dawa guys use that for exactly that same purpose. So that's where their fans get it from. And it's like they can't even understand words off a page. And to me, that's like, what do you do at that point? If I say, look at what the verse is actually saying and let's understand what it's actually saying, and you actually are incapable of understanding what words mean, what sentences mean, it's pretty rough to even have a conversation at that point. So all you can say at that point is, look, dude, go back to kindergarten, start over, because the education system has failed you. Start over and get some basic reading comprehension skills. What is this? Where can I get a copy of this? Is it publicly available? What do you mean? The article we're reading? Is that what Sandy's looking for? I will give the title of the article. Yeah, this is the New York Times. You should, if you haven't used it, New York Times will give you a certain number of articles for free. I have a subscription, but the article, you can just search for it. You can look up New York Times, Screams Without Words, How Hamas Weaponized Sexual Violence on October 7th. So if you actually want to read this article to share it Matter of fact, I'll put a link to it in the description after we're done. But the article is titled Screams Without Words. Screams Without Words. How Hamas Weaponized Sexual Violence on October 7th. New York Times. By Jeffrey Gettleman. And a couple others. All right. So yeah, you can check that out. And good article to share. Dre says, God bless, bro, with the super chat. Thank you, Dre. Sarah says, I know Mo allows raping slaves taken as war booty, but is there a passage where he allows it before they're enslaved? Muslims should at least oppose that. Yeah, to be fair, I think you can make a case that Hamas is doing things they're not supposed to. You can make a claim that ISIS shouldn't have been dealing with their sex captives in the way they were. I mean, it's messed up. It's messed up what you're actually allowed to do from an Islamic perspective. And I mean, you can find passages in the Muslim sources about mutilating people and torturing and so on. But to tie it all together in that way to where you're, gang raping a woman or a girl and hammering nail, it seems like you could actually, as a Muslim, even as a radical Muslim, I don't mean like people who don't even believe in some of these sources. I mean, you could be a diehard jihadi and still think, no, we're not supposed to be doing this. We're just not supposed to be doing some of this stuff here. But the real reason this response doesn't work very well is that at the end of the day, it's the same with the Dawa guys. Notice if you're a Dawa guy and you're actually crushing it, you're going out there, you're crushing it, you're crushing the kuffar and so on, you can get away with pretty much anything. I mean, look at Sheikh Uthman. I mean, he indisputably faked a hate crime against himself. Should have been completely the humiliation of the entire ummah. They didn't care a bit. They didn't care even slightly. He's still their hero. Then he committed adultery with his friend's wife and married a girl who was already still married because she's an American convert and it's a status symbol. So he married a girl who's married to his friend. The friend sent her to Sheikh Uthman for marital counseling because they're having some problems, and Sheikh Uthman bangs her. How much trouble is Sheikh Uthman in? Zero. They do not care. So you have this idea, as long as you're doing what's important, we're going to let you slide on all this other stuff. Guess what? If you're a jihadi going out there doing it, this is the attitude of ISIS, this is the attitude of Hamas, and so on. It's, hey, you're going to die as a martyr fighting the kuffar. You got a clean slate. So if you're crossing some lines because you're enraged at these people, Allah's going to be fine with that. Dutch Christian here says, may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you and your family, David. Thank you. Without lies, Islam dies. Indeed. Do y'all have P.O. boxes? How do your fans send you guys gifts? Love you guys. Hope AP feels better. You just sent a gift, Adeline. You just sent it right here with the super chat. But yes, I do have a P.O. box. At least I think I did. I haven't checked it in a while. Unicorn says, thank you for this, D-Wood, as hard as it is to hear. Yeah, that's what sucks. Everyone has to hear really messed up. Doesn't that suck that that's the world we live in? That you've got guys who hammer nails into a woman as they're raping her. Guys who will cut off a woman's breast as they're raping her. Most people don't want to talk about this stuff or think about it. And yet the Dawa guys make you, because after the jihadis do it, then the Dawa guys say it never happened. And now you have to actually be saying, okay, let's talk about this. When you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about this stuff. Aren't there like pretty much anything in the universe that would be better to be talking about? And yet, welcome to what Islam does to us. 200 Christians in Nigeria murdered celebrating Christmas. Who knows and who cares? Yeah, and that's part of, I just posted that on Twitter as well. I pointed out, so in the past 20 years, around 50,000 is the conservative estimate of Christians in the middle belt area of Nigeria who have been killed in the name of Allah over the past 2 decades. So 50,000. Millions have been displaced. So jihadis are in the north. You got Christians mainly in the south. And the jihadis are pushing further and further south. So it is they're ethnically cleansing the area. When do you hear a peep about this? Talking 50,000. 50,000. You don't hear a peep. There's 200 were slaughtered in this Christmas Eve massacre. Where do you hear about that? No one cares. If it doesn't involve Jews, no one cares. What's that saying? If it's not the Jews, it ain't news. Some people are saying that to sort of mock the situation where, yeah, if it's Muslims doing it, especially if it's Muslims doing it to African Christians, no one cares. If they killed 200 people in a Christian massacre in the UK, yeah, we'd hear about that. If it's in Nigeria, nope, not a problem for the media. SK says, I don't have a lick of sympathy for Palestine anymore. And that's something, just so everyone knows, I have a slight cold. My voice actually held up better than I thought it would. There's I'm out of cough drops. But that's an ongoing issue where, guys, you could be sympathetic towards the Palestinians because as revolting as you might find Hamas, and as revolting as you might find the people who voted them into power, there were people who didn't approve and who didn't vote for them and who don't want them and who would just love to live normal lives and they don't want to slaughter all the Jews. There are people there who don't want any of that. There are Christians in Gaza and in the West Bank. And so you do, and you, even for the people who really hate Jews and so on, you could kind of get your mind around that. Like I could sit here and think, hey, if I were born in Gaza, and let's suppose an Israeli rocket strike, even if the rocket strike is in response to something Hamas would do. So Hamas would launch a rocket at Israel. Israel has a system where, okay, if a rocket is fired out of Gaza, they have a system in place that will follow the trajectory, send a rocket right back to hit the spot where it was launched from. So Hamas would do what? Hamas would launch these from areas, next to schools and so on, hoping that a bunch of civilians get killed when Israel launches its missile back at them. But notice, if I were raised in Gaza and I was a 10-year-old and one of those rockets comes back and injures me and kills my family and so on, I could understand growing up and being enraged. So the point is, you can think of the Palestinians. You can think, hey, I want what's best for them. But yeah, when there comes a point where people are starting to think, okay, Israel, you just got to do what you got to do, and you have to get Hamas, and anyone who's standing in your way, you still have to get Hamas. And I lots of people are going to be like that now. I no sympathy for anyone as far as and that's kind of messed up because again, there are people there who want nothing to do with this, who have no part of this. But that's what they're doing. And so it's kind of a messed up situation that Hamas is actually damaging their own cause here. Because if people stop sympathizing and just say, oh my goodness, no patience for this stuff anymore. Now, what do you do? Because that's all that kind of keeps Hamas going is people sending billions of dollars in aid to these guys. Where has Kool-Aid Man been? Wait, when did D-Wood got back to YouTube? I never left. I left the channel and pretty much instantly started up other channels. So yeah, been back for a while, but I was never really gone. I said I was getting rid of a channel, which was a big channel. It had 700,000 subscribers. and had become a big waste of time thanks to our fans at YouTube. Keep in mind, this channel that I'm on right now, this will eventually be like that. They eventually start targeting you and harassing you and taking down all your stuff, especially if you're, critical of Islam and so on. They eventually take it down. They get to the point where they're like, YouTube is harassing you. They keep giving you false strikes and so on. You can win an appeal, and you file your appeals, and then you argue with people, and they eventually put your stuff back up. And but it becomes a point where it's not worth it. This channel I'm on right now, once that starts happening, once they start messing with me, I'm just gonna give the channel away if someone wants it, or delete it and start up something else. It takes them a while before they start harassing you. So now it's going to be this rhythm going on where they leave them alone, and they'll work really well. And once it gets to a certain size, they're really going to start messing with me really hard. And I'm not going to cling to it like I used to. I'm just going to go off. I'll rather start over because it's easier. Because look, notice, look at my hits on my videos. You can look at my regular videos, not the live streams, but you can look at my videos. I get the same, if not more, views per video that I used to with 700,000 subscribers. Why? They're not messing with me now. They're just not messing with me. They're not constantly messing with me. So anyway, works out well. But yes, this is more guerrilla style than before. All my channels now are disposable. I will dispose of them and move somewhere else. Sharing truth, thanks. Everything old is new again. Indeed, yeah, especially with the new year. D. Wood, please read. Ich heiße AP und ich... I guess I should read that with my German accent. Ich heiße AP und ich habe eine Zabuba. That'd be a cool song. Ich habe eine Zabuba. There's a song called Ich habe einen grünen Pass. It was a German rap song by the group Advanced Chemistry. Uthman's Tomato Ketchup says, wonder what 7th century Islam was really like. October 7th, sick to the stomach, am Israel chai. The next Zakir Naik. My New Year's resolution. Why do you write New Year's multiple times? My New Year's resolution is to be a little less of a nerd and to be a little nicer to David. I may break it early. What's yours? That is a good New Year's resolution, being nicer to me, and would keep you from constantly getting completely humiliated when you talk trash to me. Christian gangster. Keep in mind, we've got our gangsters. We can't control our gangsters. Genuine question. When you see news like this, do you feel angry, sad, etc., or is it just intellectual? It's intellectual, but it kind of has the same effect. So with me, it's God created people in his image, and it's not just the woman that's being raped and tortured who is created in the image of God. It's the guys who are gang raping her and torturing her. They're created in the image of God. We're all created in the image of God. We have certain responsibilities. Image God means we're supposed to be imaging God in the world. We're supposed to be somehow reflecting God in the world. And in order for us to reflect the image of God, we have to have certain abilities. And so God gives us these abilities with which we can reflect God's nature in the world. And what do we use it for? Well, we gang rape and torture women. And so it's, on the one hand, it's, look how this woman who's created in the image of God, look what these guys are doing her. But at the same time, look at what these guys who are created in the image of God are doing. And it's just, so it's look how messed up this is. Look at what we've been given and what we actually do with it. And it's weird because what do you do with that, right? On the one hand, you want to like grab the guys and choke them and so on. And at the same time, so anyways, it's like a combination of things. Let's look what you're doing this woman. Look at what you guys have become. Look at your ideology and your beliefs that they do this to you. And it's like everything is designed to warp and twist the image of God in the world. And that pisses me off. It pisses me off. So yes. A shame Ridvan left. I was hoping you guys will kiss at midnight. Well, we wouldn't even be in the same spot, so we could, we kind of go towards the camera or something, but. Thank you, Dr. Wood and AP, for sharing your thoughts and ideas on Islam. Very helpful. Even the snark that happens on your videos. Love AP's giggles. Yeah, his giggles, the funniest laughs are Mufti Abulaith, then Anthony Rogers, then Robert Spencer. Those guys have the best laughs. Helen says, keep the videos pouring forth. Muslims need to watch them. They're glued to their phones. Happy New Year. Yeah, and so that is one of the things I'm focusing on. I mentioned it earlier that I was trying to be more consistent as far as doing multiple things instead of focusing on one. But yes, look forward to a more steady supply of videos in the New Year's. 5 pillars, 5 silver. For some reason, I thought, because I was just talking about 5 pillars, when I saw 5 silver pesos, I saw 5 pillars for a second. Fun fact, Protestants, the authorized 1611 King James Bible had the deuterocanonical books. They were later removed in the late 1880s by Bible societies in England to reduce costs. Interesting. We should do a live stream and get a couple people here on the Canon to crush what you just said. Big Rig says, Allah only made it. This would be the response, right? You wonder when the Dawa guys are going to come up with this. Allah only made it seem like Hamas did it in order to get Jews to attack, and Hamas can destroy them and bring the caliphate, you see. So this is a mockery of the way most Muslims read the Quran when we say that Jesus died, and the response is, no, Allah made it seem like Jesus died. He tricked everyone into believing it. And one objection to that is the absurdity of the idea that Allah might just be tricking you about what you see with your eyes. If he can just trick people into thinking that Jesus died, then notice, God is powerful enough to do that. But once you believe in a God who does that, where do you draw the line at? So could Allah just be tricking everyone about what happened? Yes. And he could be tricking people into thinking that Israel's dropping bombs on there. In fact, we might want to start saying that. Maybe Israel didn't bomb anyone. Maybe Allah is just making you think that he's doing it. That Israel's doing that, right? That would explain things, right? That would. Free Palestinians from Israel, Islam, and Hamas. Yeah, I would agree. You got to, but there is not much of a way forward when you have guys who are doing the stuff we just read about in charge of Gaza. Exactly midnight here. Fireworks. How much time do I got where I am? Up, hour and 44 minutes. Exactly midnight here. Fireworks in the sky, and D Wood discussing. Wait, where? What time zone? What time zone is that? It's not UK. This has got to be over here. Where? Well, let me see. Let me know. Exactly midnight here. Fireworks in the sky. And D Wood discussing when rape becomes halal in my earbuds. Weirdest New Year's ever. Anyway, Happy New Year. This is a different kind of New Year's. Jeremy says, may Yeshua bless you and AP both. Yeah, this would be cool if this year became the year AP quit being so stubbornly rebellious against the Almighty, wouldn't it? Lars says, D Wood, Christian, AP, atheist. I draw my conclusion. I choose the cow. Holy cow. Always choose the cow, ladies and gentlemen. Cup of Indian Tea says, Happy New Year, D Wood and AP. Expecting a lot of helpful videos this year. It is sad that there are people who don't accept or completely deny that this, they completely deny that this really happened. Stay safe, brothers. And yeah, I pointed out why this is, it's like a symptom that is shared, right? Hamas is so enraged at Israelis that this is what they do. You've got the rest of the world, they're not doing that stuff, but they're so enraged at the Israelis, they won't believe anything that Israelis say. So they won't even believe them. You can say, hey, this is what I saw with my own eyes. Here's video footage of, it never happened. You see, the curse of Allah is upon David as well. I think that's a reference to my cold, yeah. I haven't had any symptoms except for just kind of a little cough. So weakest cold ever. Happy New Year. Not quite New Year's here, but if you're in a place where it's Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And Happy New Year in a little while to everyone who is going to be getting New Year in a little while. So jihadis are ethnically cleansing Nigerian Christians, but Israelis are not ethnically cleansing Palestinians. They are both ethnic cleansing. Fact. No. If you look at how many times have we been through this? If you look at the population of Palestinians in Gaza has been exploding. No pun intended. It's been growing rapidly. It's been growing rapidly. Going after, notice, okay, suppose Nigerian Christians were launching a ton of terrorist attacks against the rest of Nigeria, right? Suppose Nigerian Christians were constantly launching terrorist attacks against the rest of Nigeria. And then the terrorists, the Nigerian terrorist Christians, then went and hid among the civilian Christian Nigerians. And then the rest of Nigeria said, we have to get the terrorists, but the terrorists are hiding among the rest of the civilian Nigerian Christians. And then the military went in to find these guys, and some civilians got caught in the crossfire. Would that be an ethnic cleansing? No, that wouldn't. That would be targeting terrorists. That would be trying to eliminate terrorists to keep them from launching terrorist attacks. That seems to be what's going on in Gaza. The jihadis in Nigeria they want to wipe out Christians of Nigeria, or at least completely violently subjugate them. But you can't be a Christian living on your own and not be subjugated in Nigeria, according to these guys. That's what they're aiming for. You can say and make a case, Israel shouldn't be doing that. Oh, Israel should have been more careful there. Oh, Israel should have been more careful with that bomb. You could say all these, but it's not the same thing. It's just not. Stop embarrassing yourself. John says, the Lord works in mysterious ways, i.e. through social media. Keep speaking the truth, David, as the truth will set us free. Happy New Year, by the way. Yes. Yes, it is good. I actually like New Year's. I tend to crush it in a new year because I'm always like, got a fresh start. All the failures of the past year, that's last year, right? You crush it this year. Velvet here says, awesome that you do this. Have long thought Israel needs to expose the gross demonic brutality of these crimes. Hoping good people everywhere wake up, take a stand for truth and righteousness. And and that makes the same point we were talking about earlier, that you don't want to talk about this stuff. You don't want to think about this stuff. You definitely don't want to be talking about this stuff on, New Year's Eve and stuff like that. There's like so many other things we could be talking about. And yet you've got so many dumb college students out there supporting this. You've got nice Muslims who don't really, they may not be aware of any of this, and they still think these are just freedom fighters breaking out of their open air prison. They don't know it. They don't know any better. And so it just sucks that you don't want to talk about this, but you kind of have to keep talking about it until it becomes common knowledge, and then the Dawa guys can't deny it anymore. Far 4 says, if you make a new channel, will it have a new name? Yes. Matter of fact, I can say they will eventually target this. They will eventually target the channel. I will burn it to the ground or go to another channel. I just found out it's way easier. It's way easier. No, I mean, the moment you get away from them constantly attacking your channel, it seems like it's got to be shadow banging, because if I can go to a completely new channel, start over with a fraction of the subscribers, and get even more views on a video, that means they were doing something to kind of hold you back on the other one. So I'd rather just play kind of musical channels. I'd rather play musical channels than constantly be fighting with a bunch of morons on the YouTube trust and safety team who they don't like you. They don't like you criticizing terrorism. Man, that might hurt someone's feelings. Shut up, YouTube. Bunch of morons. Allah is Palestinian. It is funny, all of AP's mockeries of so-and-so's a Palestinian. You had Abraham Lincoln, the Titanic, all that. Why do people say Jews are from Turkey? I think they're saying some Jews are from Turkey. Like same thing, like some Jews are from... Jews were all over the place. And some of the bloodlines did mingle with others. So you had Jews in Iran, you had Jews, lots of Jews in Egypt and so on. You had Jews from all over the world. And some of them, a portion, went to Israel, especially if things got rough in some of the other countries, then they would then move to Israel. So yeah, you will have a lot of different groups represented there. In other words, you have Jews from a lot of different areas of the world. D. Wood, secret atheist. D. Wood, secret atheist, Christian. AP, secret Christian, atheist. Draw your own conclusions. And if anyone doesn't know what that's about, we one of the things that like just online, I don't even want to say the Dawa guys, although it's sometimes them, but just online Muslims, as when there's nothing else to say, they'll just say you're the opposite of what you say you are. So with me, if I'm talking to a Muslim, they'll say, "Oh, David, we know that you're an atheist. You're not a real Christian. You're an atheist." And with AP, they'll say, "Oh, you're AP. You're not a real atheist. You're a secret Christian." It's like great line of argumentation there, guys. Really smart what Dawa has done for you. Jack says, What's your best disproof for Islam? You have a lot. That's kind of hard to narrow down. Because there's the question of like, what is the best? And that's kind of that'll kind of depend on the person, right? Some things stand out to other people. Like there are some people who would think that like the moral problems with Muhammad are the strongest evidence against Muhammad. And there are other people who would, it's weird because like, I wouldn't think that, that textual variance in the Quran manuscripts is really a problem. I don't even understand why that would be a problem. Of course, if you have human beings copying a book, you're going to end up with textual variance. But for Muslims who absorbed the idea that if Allah inspires something, it's going to be perfectly miraculously preserved forever, that suddenly becomes a problem. So different things can be different problems for different people. I can just say what's my favorite. I'd have to think for a while what I think is best, like all around. My favorite is the Islamic dilemma. So in other words, the Quran affirms the inspiration, preservation, and authority of the Jewish and Christian scriptures, and yet the Quran contradicts those sources on fundamental doctrines. I like combining that with some of the material in a recent video, Why Allah Revealed the Quran in Arabic. Check that out. That's got some of my favorite stuff in there too. But notice, for lots of people, that wouldn't be the strongest stuff to them. They would be focused on, like stupid things that Muhammad said or other things. So yeah, I don't know exactly what's best all around. The Islamic dilemma stuff is probably my favorite stuff and most useful in various situations. Linda says, thanks so much for D-Wood and AP. I found AP about 6 years ago while researching Islam. I think that's when he started. You're talking 6 years ago. That's like when he was getting started, I think. While researching Islam and jinn for a fiction novel, down the rabbit hole, I found Mr. Wood and Christian Prince. I'm truly glad for you all, and God bless. That's funny. That's funny finding AP, because I was doing it first, and Christian Prince was doing it before AP. It's kind of cool that like people go to AP and then find some of the rest of us. I'm talking historically, not just recent stuff as Hamas. It is a historical ethnic Dude, this is completely idiotic. No, it isn't. Go back and watch some of the live streams where we went through this stuff. Yes, if you listen to what a bunch of morons say, if you listen to what a bunch of morons tell you about what happened with Israel and Palestine, yeah, you could call that an ethnic cleansing. If you look at what actually happened, I have no clue how you could describe that as an ethnic cleansing. And if you did want to call it an ethnic cleansing, every battle over anything would pretty much be ethnic cleansing. So, D. Wood, how did you spend New Year's Eve in prison? You would have people watching the ball drop. So people have little TVs and so on like there, and then in like your day room, you have a big TV. Normally those would be off, by midnight. But you could occasionally. I'm trying to think of when this was. It was something interesting when I was in prison. You would get glimpses that even though these guys are like hardcore, hardened criminals and so on, you would get glimpses of people's humanity. And I mean, even among like rough guys. And one of the things that I noticed early on, so this was shortly after I went to prison, it was there was the Dream Team playing. So when would this have been? This was the Dream Team playing at the Olympics. So when was this? Like 1996? Was that a time when you had the Dream Team? And you just had this whole prison cheering like crazy for the Dream Team. And it's like, these guys are usually, a lot of these guys are pretty anti-America because, the government locked us all up and so on, but they're cheering like crazy for the Dream Team and rooting for America. And it's like, maybe they can not hate the country they live in a little bit. But another thing that happened was, again, I don't remember if it was New Year's or 4th of July, but I remember being on the porch, probably 4th of July, because New Year's, no, they do fireworks on New Year's as well. I don't know. We're out on the back porch. I was watching all these hardened criminals look at fireworks in the distance. But they look like little kids, they're all sitting there out there on the porch watching fireworks. And they're all just staring there at the fireworks, and I'm looking at them. I don't care about the fireworks. I'm sitting there looking at these guys and thinking, hey, these guys like become childlike or something like that when they're watching fireworks. But yeah, it's pretty similar to now. Pretty similar to now, but with less access to actually going somewhere you want to be. You're away from your family, and if you're watching the ball drop, you're watching it on someone's little tiny TV screen. This New Year's has been lame. Dr. T, bring back the old days with vocab smashing glass everywhere, then drinking and eating it live. That's how you bring rock and roll into the new year. What an animal. I actually thought about that. I was thinking about getting that together because that's how we did it before. But yeah, this most of you probably were not familiar with this, but I was rocking in the New Year vocab a couple years ago, and he was trying to make some drink, and he had this ball of ice that he was trying to stuff into this jar he was drinking out of, and he tried to push it in, it like shattered all over the place, and then he was trying to drink it, but there was glass everywhere. Anyway. Yep. Vocab is a beast. Edison says, how would you initially respond to a very left-leaning Palestine supporter? That would depend on the context as far as if this was happening on a live stream or a debate or something like that. If I were actually sitting somewhere, I'm in a restaurant or something like that, and I were hanging out with someone and the topic came up, generally in those situations, same as I always say, I would start by asking a lot of questions. I would have a lot of questions. I'd be asking questions. What do you mean by this? What do you think a genocide is? What do you think terrorism is? What do you think happened on October 7th? What do you think happened with Israel and Palestine? Tell me what you know. What do you think happened in the 40s? What do you think happened before that? What do you think happened after that? And then, so I would be asking questions about that, what this person believes, and I would not be offering a word of criticism. I would be figuring out what this person believes. Because notice, once you start disagreeing and challenging, then it enters a different phase, and you might not ever get back to that stage of clarifying what the other person thinks or what that person believes. For me, that's very, very important. Find out what this person thinks about all this stuff before challenging some things. So I'll be asking these kinds of questions. What do you believe about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then I would transition into some, where did you come to that? Where did you get that idea? So where did you get the idea that that's happening? Because what you find out is people have never done one bit of research on any of this. They just heard it. They saw a tweet or something like that. They saw a meme and developed their belief about something that happened decades ago based on a meme they saw on Twitter. And so it's important to say, hey, where did you get that idea? How did you come to that conclusion? And then you find out where this person's getting information from. And then at some point I would probably say, okay, if you're wrong about some of this, would you want to know it? Or would you want to know if you're wrong about some of this stuff? Or would you rather continue? If you were wrong, not even saying you're wrong at this point. If you were wrong, hypothetically, would you want to know it? Or would you want to continue on exactly as you are with all your beliefs, even though some of them may be wrong? What would you rather have? And if the person says, no, I wouldn't want to know if I was wrong. Okay, end of discussion. Not interested in talking about this anymore. Let's talk about something else. Because you just said you don't even want to know. You are not concerned about truth. If the person says, yes, I would want to know if I'm wrong. then okay, let's examine some of your claims here. Let's examine some of this. That's how I'd proceed. Allah prays for Muhammad, not to Muhammad. You see? Yes, thank you for that awesome refutation. Everyone, be aware, according to the Quran, Allah prays for Muhammad, not to Muhammad. David Wood is 2.7% Palestinian. Yes, indeed, I am. So I speak with authority on all these issues. My goodness, Egyptian prince still here. Debate a Mina Christian or on Palestinian ethnic cleansing. I know and have studied the history well. No, you haven't. You sound like a dope. What has happened to Palestinians is 100 times worse than what Nigerian Christians have gone through. Stop, dude, stop. Just stop embarrassing yourself. Again, if Israel is ethnically cleansing or genociding or whatever you want to say, the Palestinians, they are the worst in history at it because the population has been exploding for decades. You have to say they are the complete, utter, total worst at it. With that said, I completely understand people not liking what Israel's doing. I completely understand because I know it seems to be more common for Palestinian Christians to not like Israel than to like them. I've met people on both sides. I've met Palestinian Christians who side with Israel. I've met Palestinian Christians who are against Israel. It seems more common for Palestinian Christians to be against Israel. And I can understand if I were part of a group and there's another group right beside me and they're massively more powerful. And anytime someone on my side does something, even if it's got nothing to do with me, these guys can start lobbing bombs over here. I understand being ticked off at them. So I understand that. Just it's the idea that, again, once you say genocide or ethnic, it's like there need to be some standards for using terms like this, or it just becomes, you can apply it to anyone. You can say, oh, we're ethnically cleansing the Germans when we bombed them. We're ethnically cleansing them. We're ethnically cleansing the Japanese during World War II. We're ethnically cleansing all of them. And then a more reasonable comment from Egyptian prince. Anyway, I pray and hope for peace. God bless. Peace. Yes. Same for me, Egyptian prince. I'm not. I said as soon as this started, I said Israel's going to do some messed up stuff. Other Palestinians are going to do messed up stuff, not just Hamas. But I see zero way forward for anyone when a group like Hamas that wants to treat women like that have political power. I don't see any way forward. So whatever else happens, if you ever want any sort of peace, you have to get rid of people like Hamas and make sure that they are not in charge. SK said, are your old videos still there? You had some really funny stuff like around 9 or 10 years ago, and do you plan to react to Arab ex-Muslims? Do I plan to react to Arab ex-Muslims? Is that a channel, or do you mean just in general Arab ex-Muslims? Wow, I get along with Arab ex-Muslims pretty well, unless they go into like super new atheist mode and so on. But I think that movement is fading out a little bit. Yes, I did have all kinds of funny stuff, but I'd rather make funnier stuff. Some of my older stuff is still on. I left some of it up. I gave my channel to Hatun Tosh, and she's been posting stuff on there, but I left some of my popular videos up. There are archive sites that archived, in other words, that posted my old videos. So you can, any old video that you want, you can find somewhere on YouTube. You can just search for it. But with me, it was kind of, I had a bunch of videos that I think I can make better if it was worth it. In other words, if it's really a good video that I liked that I made 10 years ago, I always think I can make it better now. And so, yeah. So if there was an especially good video, let me know what you thought. And it might be one of the ones I remake. But yeah, you can find all my old videos somewhere on YouTube. What are your thoughts about Naturai Karta and the 3 oaths? I think they were violated. Not sure. In other words, not terribly familiar with that. Follow up to my previous super chat. What if it's on social media, e.g. Facebook? What was that about? Follow up to my previous, I don't remember which super chat we're talking about. Follow up to my previous super chat. What if it's on social media, e.g. Facebook? Oh, is this a question about how would I interact with different, let me scroll back, see what you're talking about. Is this how I was? Yeah, okay. Yeah, if it's on Facebook. Yeah, if it's going to depend. If it's someone and it's just a comment and you only have one shot, you might just, if you only have one shot, it's a person you're not actually having a conversation with. It's just that person posted a comment, you're responding to a comment, and you're never going to interact with this person again. You might just want to, you might just want to crush the person as much as you can, or you might want to. Greg Kokel calls it leaving a stone in the other person's shoe. Something that's not, it's not instantly going to change a person's mind, but think of something that might challenge something that the person is claiming, and just understand not everything is up to each individual. Like, you don't have to change every person's mind in the world. You don't have to change a particular person's mind. We're all playing a role, and there's a ton of people. So if you just like get someone thinking, that could be good. If you give a person one relevant thing to contemplate, that could be your role in that situation. But if you're on Facebook and it's a person you could be interacting with regularly, you can do the same thing. You can just ask questions. And by the way, that's a good way to start conversations, because lots of people like to talk about their own views. And so if you say, hey, what do you think about this? Or why did you say that? Lots of people would like to respond and say, here's why I said this, and here's why I think this, and so on. You can just start up asking questions like that. You can follow exactly what I said about a conversation with a person like at school or something. Palestinian is a word they made to replace Nazi. They do seem to dislike Jews. Farfour says, imagine both embarrassing yourself and losing money while doing it. Yep, that would suck. General Sherman was ethnically cleansing Americans. Yeah, there was lots of people ethnically. Just every war, every battle has always been an ethnic cleansing. And stop super chat. The Dawa fools will say we are Mossad. That's true. Well, you obviously all are, right? I mean, we have to appreciate Mossad funneling super shekels to us by the super chat, but we got to do it somehow. Right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Any final comments on any of this? I'm in the regular comments here. What do you guys? Here's a good question. What do you guys want to see in the new year? I mean, for me, what do you want to see me do in 2024? Any thoughts? What do you like most? If you're here, you probably at least fairly regular in watching our live streams and so on. But what do you want to see before I close out here? Just for my own edification, what people are interested in. Also, feel free, if you think of something like 10 minutes from now, because we're going to close out. So, in other words, if you think of something 10 minutes from now or an hour, or if you're watching this later, some people are watching this later. If you're watching this later or you think of something later, you can post it in the comments section. I'll come back and check. What would you like to see more of in 2024? What style of content? Because I've produced very different kinds of content. Topics, kind of material, stuff people you might like to see us interact with. Going after the Dawa guys, working together with other content creators. What would you guys like to see? We have Tribal Dead. Don't cut your hair. That is a difficult topic because I can't stand long hair. My wife prefers longer hair, so I've been growing it out. I'm hoping in 2024, she says, David, you look like an idiot. Cut your hair off. But I'm leaving it until she says, no, actually, because again, she's always thought I was going to look like Fabio or something like that if I grew out long hair. It just doesn't work. But anyway, she likes it better. She doesn't like short hair. I actually would prefer bald while keeping my beard. Shave it all, leave a beard. That's what I would do if my wife didn't have some say in what she has to look at, and if she hadn't, through years of marriage and all the crap she's endured with for me over the years, earned a complete right. She could tell me right now exactly how she wants anything, and I would do it. She's been through she's been through enough to make she can make all those kinds of decisions. Um, wait, what is this? Hey D Wood, have you ever thought of doing a reaction video on Nabi Asli's content, like how you did for Farfor? No, but if you'd like to see, yeah, send me an example, especially in the comments later on, telling me specifically what you're thinking of. So post an example of what you're talking about as far as content and what kind of response you're looking for. Is this the Farfor dance? When I say, is this a response to me saying, what should we do? What should we do for the new year? Should we do the Farfor dance? I still want to, yeah. Oh, you can check on the next Zakir Nikes channel as well. He actually posted Ali Dawa audio over Farfor's face. More Christian-centric content. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking I want to make videos that are like covering all of the basics, so that if I do jump to another channel or they start targeting me, then I've got this collection of videos. In other words, I want to cover all the basics on responses to Dawa, all the basics, all the most misused Bible verses and so on that Dawa guys use and so on. I do want to have a collection of all the basic content out there, and not as much sort of, things that are responses to specific things that aren't it's called, YouTubers call it evergreen content. It's material that's always relevant. So a response to a verse that's kind of always relevant. If you respond to some specific situation that happens tomorrow, that might not be relevant 2 weeks from now. But I do want to cover all the basics. Someone said, as far as what should happen in 2024, convert AP. Well, if that were all on me, I would be happy to, but that's not all on me. Skits. Yes. Good idea. Love the live streams, but would love to see some more videos on the new atheist. Yeah, I just pointed out that I want to make basic. If you notice, I made a response to Dawkins. I made a response to Sam Harris. It's kind of a dirtbag move. Christopher Hitchens has been dead for a while, so it's kind of a dirtbag move to take a swing at someone who's been dead for a while. But yeah, I do want to make let me just make a prediction, Garrison. You're going to have 2 really, really good responses to the new atheist very, very soon. I'll just leave it at that. So Garrison, you will have, if you want responses to the new atheist, again, I think they're fading out. I think they're going to, their fading is going to escalate. But yeah, go ahead and check out what's coming up soon. Nicodemus says, get the Green Prince interview by you, Apologetics Roadshow. Oh, we'd love to have him. But I'm sure that lots of people would love to have him on. I just like to get him and tell him his story, and even ask him, hey, why you choose the cow, man? Why you choose the cow? Muhammad's Boom Boom Room. Yes, you will get more. You will get Muhammad's Boom Boom Room. Regular live streams. We do regular live streams. That is the one thing we've been doing steadily. Wear leather straps underwear. No, pretty creepy. Christian striptease show. Maybe just me. I do want to remake an old video where I dressed up in my wife's nightie, but the entire thing was making fun of Muhammad because he used to prance around in his child bride's nightie. But that's something I want to re-record because I think that's another video I think I could do way better now and be way more brutal than the past. Funny skits, more debate strategies. I'm getting sick of debates. I've been in like 100 now. I don't know. Striptease. But again, AP has a a debate coming up on Thursday if his COVID keeps letting up a little bit. Steve Christie would be a great guest for discussing the canon if you're looking to do that. Yeah. Definitely more general apologetics with philosophy. Yeah, I want to get into I want to get into some philosophy. I also want to make some more videos on manipulation tactics. Not like helping people manipulate others, but getting people to understand what the basic manipulation tactics are so that they'll notice it when they see it happening. And so the idea, people who, psychologists who study manipulation in order to protect people from being manipulated. In other words, they say, hey, this is what this boyfriend of yours is actually doing to you and how he's controlling you. Those people will tell you the best way to deal with a manipulator is not to kind of expose and shame the manipulator. The manipulator won't like being exposed, but it's not going to change his behavior. He's going to go off and do it to someone else. It's to make people into what are called hard targets. So these are people who understand manipulation tactics, and so they don't fall for them because they see them when they're happening. And so the level of manipulation that people are being bombarded with, I can't think of anything. It's just, you could have a society, like you could have like a communist nation, decades ago that completely controls what people are able to hear and so on. And so that could be like total manipulation and so on. But now it's different. It's just coming at people relentlessly from so many different directions that I don't see any way people can avoid being manipulated in the world we are, unless people just learn how to not be manipulated. So I do want to make some stuff on that. Let's see, more deep dives into the worst Quran and Hadith verses. It's a good idea. Eating the Quran. Oh, that'll happen. Farfor cosplay. Or anal strap talk. Sadly, I think we're going to get plenty of the strap talk here. Weekly TikTok Dawa reactions with IP. I did think of that. I was thinking, man, maybe there's so much relentless nonsense on TikTok that we might just need something regular, like This Week in TikTok Dawa, like similar to This Week in Jihad, where you could do a weekly show every week because jihad never stops. You could do a weekly response to TikTok Dawa. What is this? Whatever makes you happy, D Wood. Your solo videos, live stream skits, it's all amazing. Just do whatever makes you happy. Finally, a good response. Do whatever you feel like doing, David. Ready for the dynamic duo to do another live stream. Eat the Quran. We're getting that. Getting lots of requests for skits. Okay, we can do some skits. Let's see. Love the live streams. Would like to see David on podcasts spreading the word or in debates, etc. So basically reaching out to bigger crowds. Yeah, that's kind of a sucky part because I have no desire at all. Like people say, David, why don't you go on this person's podcast? Like I interact with my friends. If people ask me to be on something, I'll be on it. Generally, I just work with my friends. So like when I see someone's got this big show, it never crosses my mind, like contact the person and say, hey, can I be on your show? So that's kind of rough. I'd love to teach a Bible class on Revelation. That's good. Nothing to do with me though. Boom, boom room. Just convince more people to choose the cow. That's what I think Hamas is teaching people, to choose the cow. Do it your way. It'll be fine. You do you. We want skits. That is very interesting. I did not know that there was so much interest in skits. All right. And someone mentioned, where did it go? Someone mentioned Muhammad's boom boom room. No, not that. Islamicize me. Someone mentioned Islamicize me, something like Islamicize me. We're actually planning to redo Islamicize me. It'll be a little different. We want to do it as like one 90-minute documentary, or 1 hour long, or one 90-minute documentary where it like all happens in one day, but similar idea. But that's another situation where, even though that was not too long ago, that was like what, 5 or 6 years ago or something like that. Yeah. So here it was, Islamicize me 2.0. That's something where vocab was fairly new. He'd been on YouTube, but he's done more now. And John McCrae was still brand new back then. So he's been doing a ton of stuff since then. We just know more people who can help now, as far as like being extras or who can help with filming and editing and stuff. It's just a situation where we think we can do it much better right now. And so, yeah, you're going to get that. For years we were thinking about doing the prequel and the sequel, but now we're thinking of remaking it and then doing the prequel and the sequel to that, and kind of doing them all sort of back to back. More Kuranagami. You're going to be getting some Kuranagami. Compilation of the best argument. More skits. Boom Boom Room. That's interesting. Lots of don't shave your beard. Yeah, I pretty much only shave my beard for a reason. Like I will shave if I were doing a video and I were playing Jordan Peterson in a Boom Boom Room or something like that, then I would shave my beard. But generally I'm keeping the beard. Get Lloyd on with you and AP. I'm totally fine with it. Pretty much whoever wants. I mean, even if the Dawa guys want to join us for live streams, totally fine with that. Do some skits, lots of skits. Nicodemus said the link to the New York Times article you read. Yeah, I told you I will include that after we log off. Cut your hair. See, this is what I'm saying. Some people say, David, cut your hair. And other people say, don't cut your hair. I'm on the David, cut your hair side. And my wife is on the opposite side of that. Islamicize me too. More comparison with the Bible. Skits, please. Okay, well, guys, I know people have liked certain of our skits in the past, but I didn't know that this would be like one of the main things people are suggesting. Apologetic styles videos using philosophical arguments against atheism and Islam. Yes, you will definitely be getting those. All right. Well, I do have to go downstairs now because we have no one to watch the kids. So my wife has to go to bed at this point. And actually 55 minutes ago. She normally goes to bed at 10. But yeah, we have no one to help out now. Oh, darn it. I didn't see the super chats. I didn't see some of these. Let's see. Oh, there were a bunch of super chats. We'll have to do these super quick because I have to go downstairs. I have kids to take care of. Wow, I didn't see most of these. Let's see. I got a lot of things from your talk. Great nuggets of wisdom. Yep, that's what I do. UNAP do call-ins with Muslims. Wouldn't mind that. It is a problem if you actually want to allow people on the screen. We've been seeing this on Thaddeus' channel. That's Reasoned Answers. You should be subscribed if you're not. But Thaddeus lets people just join live, and they have this problem where they jump in and start sharing like gay porn and stuff like that. So the goal is not to actually engage. It's to derail the discussion. So yeah, it sucks. More guests if it's more interactive like that. Yep, we can get some more people on here. You're a lip smacker. Yeah, that's true. Spit swapping, makeout match, D Wood versus Mojob. No thanks. Please bring back Boom Boom Room or similar for 24 and beyond. Happy New Year. Yes, you will get them. I already promised Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, that he was getting. I told him 1 or 2. He could decide. He didn't decide, and so I'm going with 2 episodes of Muhammad's Boom Boom Room and a Kuranagami tutorial. One thing I like to do is tell people what they're getting and then wait months, because then they'll think I'm not going to do it, and then I just come out with it out of nowhere. So that's what I did with the Kuranagami video, which that's on the Act 17 Polemics channel if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm also doing the 2. I've already got them recorded. I just haven't edited or posted them yet. But yeah, you'll be getting more Boom Boom Room. If he's willing, please interview one of mine. Yeah, I actually did that years ago before anyone knew about him. Farfor dancer off. Or Farfor dance off. Red Van finally finding she was 9-year-old guy. Yeah, that'd be good. We've had people tell us, like, give us the gist of where to find him, but we haven't actually like gotten like, okay, this is his email address. Can you cover Jewish objections to Christianity? Not really my thing. I mean, I would normally tell people to go to a channel that deals with that. And you have you have people who do that. So Michael Brown deals with that. There's a channel. I know two guys. Their channel is two Messianic Jews, and they have a channel that does that. So yeah, I just think I think Messianic Jews will do a way better job than I ever will. The sequel to Islamicize Me. Yep, we mentioned that. As they used to say, keep on keeping on. Indeed, inviting Dr. Mordecai Kedar. Convert Tovia Singer to Christianity. Again, not in my power. Not in my power. I can only do what I'm capable of doing. And Jewish objections help prove Jesus in Old Testament, please. Yeah, so I think that's good for Messianic Jews. I mean, like Anthony Rogers is really good at showing Jesus in the Old Testament. There are arguments, lots of things you could bring up from the Old Testament. It's just interesting. Like if you listen to Michael Brown talk to an Orthodox Jew about Old Testament prophecy, they're just on another level, right? Like, Christians will go, oh, look, Isaiah 9:6, Isaiah 53, Psalm 22. We'll go to these passages, but it's that's like the surface level. That's like surface level. The Messianic Jews go so much deeper and so on. So yeah, I think they're better off at that. But they're welcome to join me, and they're welcome to do it on our channel. And people who object to them. In other words, Jews who don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, who want to respond to that, happy to have those discussions here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do need to get downstairs. Glad that you all joined me for the last live stream of 2023, and we'll have to figure out what the first live stream of 2024 is going to be here very soon. All right, well, fun stuff coming up this week, and definitely fun stuff coming up in 2024. And one thing that would be hilarious to see is from Farfarize me in 2024. We'll turn everyone into a homicidal dancing mouse who blames everything on Jews. That would be epic. All right, catch you all next time. God bless you all. 2024.